After the divorce, the goddess CEO fell in love with me. Jiangzhou City, Song family villa. In front of Chen Fan sat a stunning woman, exuding elegance and grace. Her features were breathtaking, with a slender waist and an alluring figure, but she carried an aura of coldness. This woman was Song Qingyan, Chen Fan's wife, though not for long. "Sign it. It's over between us," she said, her voice emotionless. Chen Fan picked up the pen and signed his name on the divorce agreement. 5 years of marriage, and now it was over. He lowered his head with a deep sigh. "Why do you want a divorce?" "Why?" Song Qingyan's voice was icy. "Don't you know? You no longer deserve my sister." Standing beside her was another woman, tall and attractive, with an air of arrogance. She had her hands on her hips, looking at Chen Fan with disdain. This was Song Qingyan's younger sister, Song Ming. She didn't hide her contempt for Chen Fan. "You staying with my sister is just a burden." "A burden?" Chen Fan let out a self-deprecating smile and turned to look at Song Qingyan. "In your eyes, I'm just a burden." 5 years ago, the Song family was just an ordinary household. His wife, Song Qingyan, wanted to start a business, and Chen Fan took out a loan to help her. He brought in many projects and supported her wholeheartedly. 5 years later, the Song family had become wealthy, Song Qingyan's company had grown bigger, and he was no longer of value, so they kicked him to the curb. "What's the alternative?" Song Mingxian sneered. "My sister is now the chairwoman of a company worth 10 billion, and you're just a broke loser. What else can you offer her? My sister has beauty, a great figure, and money. There are countless men in Jiangzhou chasing her. Now, you two are from completely different worlds." Song Mingxian struck a harsh blow. "Yes, you helped us in the past, but we've supported you for 5 years. We've repaid what we owe you. Dreamxian, stop talking. Chen Fan, just take it as my fault. I've changed, but I will compensate you." Song Qingyan took out a bank card. "There's 10 million here. Take it." Song Mingxian mocked, 10 million? That's enough for someone like you to live off for the rest of your life. Chen Fan found it laughable. "Song Qingyan, is our 5 years of marriage worth only 10 million? 10 million is a bit too little," Song Qingyan said calmly. "If you have any conditions, just tell me. As long as I can do it, I will fulfill them." "Song Qingyan, after 5 years of marriage, you still don't understand me. Am I someone who cares about money?" Chen Fan's voice was cold. "I want you to tell me, do you value money more than our relationship?" "Yes," Song Qingyan said directly. "Chen Fan, I admit you were good to me, and I used to love you, but you never understood what I wanted. What I wanted wasn't a house husband who cooked for me, picked me up from work, and constantly pampered me. I wanted a man with ambition, a man who could push forward with his career." Song Qingyan sighed. "But you never gave me any hope, so this is the way it ends. So, you think I have no ambition?" Chen Fan felt a sting of disappointment. "That means, there's now a better man in your life, right?" In his eyes, Song Qingyan had come into contact with a higher social circle and was now comparing him to someone else. Song Qingyan's lips trembled. She hadn't expected him to think like that. She didn't explain and simply nodded lightly. At this point, there was no use explaining further. "I understand now." Chen Fan stood up and left the Song family villa. As he turned to leave, he no longer felt any attachment. Watching Chen Fan's retreating figure, a pang of pain stirred in Song Qingyan's heart. Mengxian, was it right to divorce him? It felt as if she had lost something important. "Sis, you did the right thing," Song Mengxian said firmly. "Given your current status, Chen Fan doesn't deserve you. He would only drag you down. You can choose someone better." Song Qingyan's expression darkened. Even if she found someone better, would she truly be happy? Longju Chen family, presenting a gift. At that moment, a convoy of Mercedes cars pulled up outside the Song family villa. Men in black suits got out of the cars and formed 2 lines, laying down a red carpet. A middle-aged man in a suit stepped out from the middle car and walked directly toward the dazed Song Qingyan and Song Mengxian. "Excuse me, where is Mr. Chen?" he asked. Song Qingyan and Song Mengxian exchanged confused glances. The extravagant scene seemed to indicate that the person was from a wealthy family, but they had no idea who their Mr. Chen was. Today marks the 5th anniversary of Mr. Chen's wedding. I'm here to deliver a gift. The middle-aged man smiled. Which one of you is married? This gentleman, you must have come to the wrong place, Song Qingyan said, about to speak, but Song Mengxian interjected, neither of us is married. She didn't mention Song Qingyang's divorce to protect her sister's reputation. Neither of you is married, the man asked, a bit surprised. Then it seems I've come to the wrong place. My apologies for the disturbance. With that, he turned and returned to his car. The men in black quickly packed up the red carpet, and the convoy drove off. Longju Chen family. Song Qingyan thought for a moment. Could it be related to Chen Fan? She remembered that today was indeed the 5th anniversary of her wedding to Chen Fan. Sis, what are you thinking? Those people look like they come from a big family, Song Mengxian laughed. Chen Fan is just a broke loser. There's no way he is connected to some wealthy family. They must have made a mistake. Song Qingyan thought for a moment and quietly nodded. If Chen Fan really was some rich young master, he wouldn't have needed to take out a loan back when she was starting her business, and the Song family wouldn't have supported them for 5 years. Chapter 2, Sarcastic and Bitter. After leaving the Song family home, Chen Fan felt a deep sadness in his heart. He had only wanted to live an ordinary life, but he soon realized that achieving peace was far harder than he imagined. He had invested 5 years of his life and emotions, only for it all to be worthless in the end. At that moment, a white Porsche Panamera suddenly stopped in front of him. As the door opened, a pair of long, slender legs emerged from the car, and a stunning woman stepped out. The woman exuded a captivating charm, her eyes almost seeming to draw one's soul in. She walked up to Chen Fan, flashing a sweet smile. Mr. Chen, hello. Chen Fan nodded. Hello. May I ask who you are? The woman smiled. My name is Tang Xinjia. Tang Xinjia. Chen Fan felt the name was somewhat familiar but couldn't place it. He asked, I don't know you. Are you here for something? Mr. Chen, you may not know me, but I know you, Tang Xinjia replied. My father is seriously ill. We've seen many doctors, but none could help him. I would like to ask you to treat him. Chen Fan's expression grew cold. Miss Tang, I think you've mistaken me. I'm just an ordinary person. I don't know how to treat illnesses. Mr. Chen, please don't rush to refuse, Tang Xinjia said quickly. I'm willing to offer you a reward. Whatever amount you want, I'll give it to you. Even if you can't cure my father, I'll still pay you. This isn't about money, Chen Fan shook his head. It's just that I truly don't know how to treat illnesses. How is that possible? You're from Longju, after all. Before she could finish, a sharp and mocking voice interrupted them. Chen Fan, you're something, aren't you? Just divorced my daughter, and now you're already cozying up to another woman. Chen Fan turned around in surprise and saw a heavily made-up woman walking toward him. He was stunned. Mom? What are you doing here? The woman was Song Qingyang's mother, Wang Chuanqiu Chen Fan's ex-mother-in-law. Mom, please don't misunderstand, Chen Fan instinctively said. I don't know this lady. We just met. He found it strange that he was explaining himself to Wang Chuanqiu. He had divorced Song Qingyang, so he no longer had any connection with her family. You don't need to explain yourself. I know exactly what you are, Wang Chuanqiu sneered. It was the best thing my daughter ever did to divorce you. I've seen you with all kinds of women behind her back. She looked Tang Xinjia up and down, clearly disgusted. Tang Xinjia's expression darkened, clearly displeased. I've been with the Song family for 5 years. I know exactly what kind of person you are, Chen Fan said coldly. I swear to God, I never did anything to wrong Song Qingyang. You can say whatever you want, but who knows if you were just pretending for 5 years. Wang Chuanqiu mocked. But this is good. Just look at you. How could you ever deserve Qingyang? Mom, say whatever you want. I know in my heart that I was always good to Song Qingyang and the Song family. Chen Fan tossed their words over his shoulder and turned to leave. Stop. Did I say you could leave? Wang Chuanqiu yelled, reaching out with her hand. Give me the money. That's my daughter's money, and you're not qualified to take it. Chen Fan frowned. Money? What money? Stop pretending, Wang Chuanqiu sneered. Don't think I don't know. When Qingyang divorced you, she gave you 10 million. Hand it over. Chen Fan said, Song Qingyan did offer me 10 million, but I didn't take a single cent. Do you think I'm a fool? You think I'll believe you? Wang Chuanqiu glared at him. I'll say it again, hand over the money, or I won't be nice. Chen Fan sighed helplessly. If you don't believe me, you can call Song Qingyang and ask her. Qingyang is kind-hearted. She'll probably help you lie to me, Wang Chuanqiu spat, eyes filled with contempt. But I'm telling you, hand over the money. Chen Fan's patience was wearing thin. I said I didn't take it. I didn't. Not handing it over. Fine, I'll search you myself. Wang Chuanqiu moved toward him, intent on searching his pockets. Even though they were divorced, not only was she verbally insulting him, but she was also humiliating him physically, clearly pushing Chen Fan's limits. Just as her hand reached into his pocket, he swatted it away. Wang Chuanqiu, don't push me too far. He no longer called her mom, she didn't deserve that title. Wang Chuanqiu froze. You dare to lay a hand on me? You've gone too far. I'll slap you. She raised her hand, aiming a slap at Chen Fan's face. You dare touch Mr. Chen? Tang Xinjia's cold voice cut through the tension. Wang Chuanqiu shot her a vicious glare. Who are you, you little tramp? Don't meddle in other people's business, or I'll hit you too. Before she could finish her threat, two bodyguards in black suits rushed toward her. Their fierce stares made Wang Chuanqiu stop in her tracks. Slap. One of the bodyguards delivered a sharp slap to Wang Chuanqiu's face. How dare you disrespect the young lady? R. Wang Chuanqiu screamed, stumbling backward and falling to the ground. She covered her cheek, furiously pointing at Tang Xinjia. You, who are you to hit me? I'm someone you don't even deserve to know, Tang Xinjia replied coldly. I slapped you because your mouth is too filthy. Chen Fan, you're just a kept man, Wang Chuanqiu seethed, now directing all her fury at him. First, you lived off our family, and now you've hooked up with another rich woman. But don't think that gives you the right to act so high and mighty. In my eyes, you'll always be a worthless loser. Learn your place. Tang Xinjia gave a slight nod to the bodyguards. One of them grabbed Wang Chuanqiu by the hair, and two more slaps rang out. R. Stop. Help. He is killing me. Wang Chuanqiu wailed as she writhed on the ground. Chen Fan turned his head away, completely uninterested in helping her. He was no longer concerned about someone who had been so unkind to him. Mr. Chen, please, get in the car, Tang Xinjia said, personally opening the door for him and flashing a sweet smile. Chen Fan got into Tang Xinjia's car, and they drove off into the distance. Chen Fan, just wait. I won't let you get away with this. Wang Chuanqiu shouted as she climbed to her feet, furiously dialing Song Qinyan's number. Qingyang, that damn Chen Fan hit me. Chapter 3, Deserved. Mom, what happened? When Song Qingyan received a call from Wang Chuanqiu, saying that Chen Fan had hit her, she immediately rushed over with Song Mengxian. My daughter, you're finally here. Wang Chuanqiu pointed at her swollen, red face and cried out to Song Qingyan, look at what happened to your mother Chen Fan, that bastard, almost ruined my face. Chen Fan hit you. Song Qingyan was skeptical. No way, Chen Fan has always had a good temper. How could he possibly hit you? Although she had divorced Chen Fan, she still knew him well. During the 5 years they had been together, Chen Fan had never gotten angry, and he had always respected Wang Chuanqiu. It seemed impossible that he would hit her. Qingyan, what do you mean by that? Wang Chuanqiu was immediately furious. You don't believe your own mother? Look at my face, do you think I would hurt myself? Big sister, I believe mom. Song Mengxian chimed in. It must be because you divorced Chen Fan, and now he is holding a grudge. He is doing this out of revenge. Mengxian is right. Chen Fan is an ingrate. He pretended to be a good guy when he was with us, but now that you've divorced him, his true nature has come out. Wang Chuanqiu continued, slandering Chen Fan. I bet you don't know this, but he is already involved with another woman. I've suspected for a while that even before you divorced him, he was seeing other women behind your back. Chen Fan has another woman. Song Qingyan's expression changed slightly. Could it be that all of Chen Fan's past kindness was just an act? If that was true, then she had truly misjudged him. Mom, go home first, Song Qingyan said. I'll handle the rest. Wang Chuanqiu was still fuming. Qingyang, you must teach Chen Fan a lesson and avenge me. Song Qingyan nodded. If Chen Fan really hit you, I'll make sure you get an explanation. After Wang Chuanqiu went home, Song Qingyan called Chen Fan. At that moment, Chen Fan was sitting in Tang Xinjia's car. When he saw Song Qingyang's name appear on his phone, he guessed that she was calling to confront him. After a brief hesitation, he answered. Chen Fan, did you hit my mom? Song Qingyang's voice was direct. I didn't. Chen Fan was still confused. Wang Chuanqiu was the one who started the accusation. You didn't. Then how do you explain the injuries on my mom's face? Song Qingyang's tone was cold. Chen Fan, I know my mom can be harsh at times, but that doesn't mean you should resort to violence. Perhaps because her mother had accused Chen Fan of being with another woman, she was no longer willing to listen to any explanation from him. Qingyang, I really didn't hit your mom. Chen Fan felt helpless and sighed. We were married for 5 years. Don't you trust me at all? Chen Fan, I want to trust you, but the injuries on my mom's face are not fake. Song Qingyang said, tell me, is it because we divorced that you're taking your anger out on my mom? Hearing this, Chen Fan was stunned. In Song Qingyang's eyes, was he really so contemptible? Chen Fan, for the sake of the 5 years we were married, I'm giving you a chance to make up for this. Song Qingyang said again, if you come and apologize to my mom now, I'll let this matter go. Chen Fan sneered. What if I don't? Song Qingyang's voice grew stern. Don't push me, or I'll cut off all remaining ties between us. Song Qingyang, there are no ties left between us. Chen Fan's voice turned cold. I'll say it one last time, I didn't hit your mom. If you want me to apologize, that's impossible. And you should go ask your mom what she has done. The injuries on her face. She deserves them. With that, Chen Fan hung up, feeling completely disappointed in Song Qingyang. Song Qingyang was so angry she nearly threw her phone. She never expected Chen Fan to be so stubborn. Big sister, now you've seen Chen Fan's true colors, right? Song Mengxian, who had overheard the conversation, said angrily, he definitely hit mom, and now he's just lying to cover his tracks. We have to teach him a lesson, or he'll think he can get away with anything. If you can't do it, leave it to me. Forget it, let us not talk about it anymore. Song Qingyang tried to hold back her anger. She didn't want to have anything to do with Chen Fan anymore. On the other side, Tang Xinjia noticed that Chen Fan looked upset and asked, Mr. Chen, did I cause you trouble? It's nothing. Chen Fan shook his head. You asked me to help treat your father, right? You helped me once just now, so I return the favor. Take me to see your father. Tang Xinjia smiled in relief. Thank you, Mr. Chen. 10 minutes later, Tang Xinjia drove to a private hospital. After getting out of the car, she led Chen Fan into a VIP ward. As soon as Chen Fan walked in, he saw a middle-aged man lying on the hospital bed, looking weak and sickly. He hadn't a drip attached, his face pale and bloodless, and his body looked frail. Around the bed, several people were standing, including doctors in white coats. From their serious expressions, it was clear the man's condition was grave. Big sis, you're here. At that moment, a carefree young man walked over. These doctors are all talk, they can't cure Dad's illness. Mr. Chen, let me introduce you. Tang Xinjia said. This is my younger brother, Tang Zimo. Tang Zimo glanced at Chen Fan from head to toe. Sis, who is he? Your new boyfriend. Does he deserve you? Chapter 4 Liar. Zimo, what are you talking about? Tang Xinjia explained, he is the Chen Fan that my father asked me to find, Mr. Chen. What? He is Chen Fan? The Chen Fan with great medical skills. Tang Zimo looked at Chen Fan with suspicion, I think he is about the same age as me. Does he know any medical skills? Tang Xinjia said, he is the person Dad is looking for, there will be no problem. In fact, when she saw Chen Fan for the first time, she was also skeptical about him because she couldn't see anything special about him. But this was the person her father had specifically asked for, and she chose to believe him. Dad is so sick that he is unconscious. He might be talking nonsense. Tang Zimo looked at Chen Fan suspiciously. Your name is Chen Fan, right? Let me ask you, do you really know medical skills? Chen Fan said calmly, I understand, but no one has treated me for a long time. You haven't treated anyone in a long time. I guess you don't understand at all. Tang Zimo said unhappily, let me tell you, every doctor here is a famous medical expert in Jiangzhou city. They are all helpless against my father's illness. I think you are more like a liar. Tang Xinjia scolded, Zimo, don't be rude. Sister, you and dad must have been deceived. Tang Zimo said, he is here just to defraud money. Money, I don't care. Before Tang Xinjia could speak, Chen Fan said, if you don't believe me, I can leave right away. Oh, you have quite a bad temper. Tang Zimo sneered, how about this, I'll give you a chance, you can see what's wrong with me, as long as you can see it, I will allow you to treat my father. Chen Fan glanced at Tang Zimo casually, say it to his face. Why? You don't have the ability. Tang Zimo showed a hint of contempt, if you don't have this ability, go back to where you came from. Your yang energy is weak, and you often feel tired and weak. You probably haven't touched a woman for nearly a month. Chen Fan said directly, because you played too much, you are too weak in bed at such a young age. Even taking medicine doesn't work. Your kidneys are seriously damaged, right? After hearing this, Tang Zimo was stunned for a moment, and Tang Xinjia also looked at Tang Zimo with strange eyes. This is impossible, how did you know? Tang Zimo blushed, are you spying on me? He was embarrassed and surprised. He didn't expect that Chen Fan was right. He couldn't believe it. He had been keeping the fact of his kidney deficiency a secret all this time. No one else knew about it except him. How did Chen Fan know about it? Let alone the fact that this is our first meeting, you are still a man, why would I spy on you? Chen Fan found it funny, your face is pale, your eyes are dark circles, and you are breathing weakly. It's easy to tell. Tang Zimo was speechless and had nothing to say. You'd better be more restrained in the future and don't damage your body. The Tang family still depends on you to continue the family line. Tang Xinjia glared at Tang Zimo, then said to Chen Fan with an apologetic look, Mr. Chen, my brother has a bad temper, please don't bother with him. It's okay, I'll see the doctor first. Chen Fan walked to the bedside and reached out to hold the middle-aged man's wrist. The poisoning was too severe, causing internal organ failure and leading to coma. When Tang Xinjia saw Chen Fan withdraw his hand, she quickly asked, Mr. Chen, how is my father's condition? The toxins are spreading and the organs are failing, but there is still hope. Chen Fan said, go get a pair of silver needles. This is a hospital, and Tang Xinjia quickly sent someone to get the silver needle. Chen Fan first took out 3 silver needles, disinfected them, then unbuttoned the middle-aged man's shirt and inserted the 3 silver needles into his chest. The technique is skillful and the needle is inserted quickly. Cough. The middle-aged man coughed lightly, and his painful expression lessened a little. Then Chen Fan inserted 3 more needles to stop the spread of toxins in the body. Chen Fan withdrew his hand and let out a long sigh. Tang Xinjia asked softly, Mr. Chen, is it over? Not yet. Your father is too deeply poisoned and needs to be expelled. Chen Fan said, I'm going to get the medicine now and will be back in half an hour. After your father takes the medicine, he will be cured. Remember, the silver needles on your body cannot be removed before I come back. Thank you, Mr. Chen. When Tang Xinjia heard that she could recover, she thanked Chen Fan repeatedly. Snort. Tang Zimo still didn't believe Chen Fan, you are just pretending. I am warning you, if anything happens to my dad, I will hold you responsible. Chen Fan ignored him and walked out of the ward. Just then, a female doctor in a white coat walked in. Dr. Han. Tang Xinjia greeted her. This female doctor was her father's attending physician. Dr. Han nodded, walked to the bed, and his face changed slightly, who inserted the silver needle into Mr. Tang. Tang Xinjia asked in confusion, Dr. Han, is there any problem? Of course there is a problem. Dr. Han said in a deep voice, your father's condition is unstable. What if something goes wrong if you randomly insert needles into his body? As she said this, she was about to pull out the silver needle. Dr. Han, no. Tang Xinjia quickly stopped him, my father asked me to find someone to treat him. Mr. Chen said that my father was poisoned and would recover soon. The silver needle cannot be removed. Nonsense. Dr. Han said in a deep voice, I am your father's attending physician. I know your father's condition best. Just a few silver needles can cure it, so there is no need to invite so many experts. Dr. Han is right. Tang Zimo didn't trust Chen Fan in the first place. I think that Chen Fan doesn't know any medical skills at all, and he even said he was going to get medicine. I think he was just looking for an excuse to run away. What? Chen Fan? Dr. Han's face darkened. Are you saying that the person who treated your father is called Chen Fan? Tang Xinjia said, yes, do you know Dr. Han? I don't know if the Chen Fan you are talking about is the Chen Fan I know. Dr. Han smiled jokingly, if so, then you have met a liar. Chapter 5 It's you. Ms. Tang, I don't know if the Chen Fan you invited is the Chen Fan I know, but I think he is not. The Chen Fan I know is just a gigolo. Dr. Han said, but this is not important. Your father's condition is very complicated. You can't just ask anyone to treat him. Otherwise, it will only harm your father. Tang Zimo nodded and agreed, Dr. Han is right, sister, take out the silver needle quickly. Tang Xinjia couldn't help but feel a little shaken when she heard Dr. Han say that. After hesitating for a moment, she shook her head and said, let's wait for Mr. Chen to come back. Tang Zimo was anxious, sister, that Chen Fan must have run away a long time ago. He must be a liar. You should wake up. Miss Tang, these silver needles have been stuck in your father's body, and there will definitely be problems. Dr. Han said, I have to pull out the silver needle, otherwise the consequences will be disastrous. As soon as she finished speaking, she didn't care about Tang Xinjia's attitude and directly pulled out all the silver needles. Puff. However, as soon as the 6 silver needles were pulled out, Tang's father suddenly spat out a large mouthful of blood. The medical equipment next to it suddenly issued a rapid alarm. This what is going on? Dr. Han was stunned. She didn't expect the situation to become so serious suddenly. Tang Xinjia asked hurriedly, Dr. Han, what happened to my dad? Dr. Han was at a loss, I don't know either. Dr. Han, Mr. Tang's vital signs are rapidly declining. A doctor nearby said anxiously, we must rescue him as soon as possible. Dr. Han recovered and said, quick, give first aid immediately. But after the emergency treatment, Mr. Tang's condition did not improve at all, and his heart rate dropped very quickly. Dr. Han was at a loss, sweating profusely, Mr. Tang is dying. What did you say? Tang Zimo grabbed Dr. Han's hair and said, I trust you so much, but now you say my dad is dying. I don't care. You must save my dad, or I will make you pay for my dad's life. Mr. Tang, this is none of my business. Dr. Han panicked, it must be the silver needle. Go find Chen Fan and settle the score. Just shut up. Tang Xinjia said coldly, my father was fine just now, but it was you who pulled out the silver needle that put his life in danger. Now you still want to shirk responsibility. Dr. Han wanted to make an excuse, but he couldn't think of a reason. She could only pray for a miracle, otherwise the Tang family would definitely let her die miserably. What's going on? At this time, Chen Fan came back with a bag of Chinese medicine. When he heard the alarm on the medical equipment, he immediately ran to the bedside and saw that Mr. Tang was having difficulty breathing and there was blood on the pillow. His expression suddenly became solemn. Chen Fan said in a low voice, didn't I tell you not to pull out the silver needle? Why didn't you listen? It's you, Chen Fan. Dr. Han suddenly screamed, you are the one who gave Mr. Tang the needle? Mr. Tang is dying now. It's all because of you. You must take full responsibility. It turned out to be the Chen Fan she knew. This made things easy. She could put all the blame on Chen Fan. Han Feifei. When Chen Fan turned around, he was also stunned when he saw Dr. Han. This Han Feifei knew Song Qingyan, and the two had a lot of business dealings. Chen Fan had also met her several times, but he didn't expect to meet her here. You are such a gigolo, how dare you pretend to be a doctor? Han Feifei pointed at Chen Fan and angrily said, it's okay that you pretended to be a doctor, but you even dared to come and treat Mr. Tang. Look, Mr. Tang is about to be killed by you. Chen Fan looked at her indifferently, you were the one who pulled out the silver needle. I pulled it out, what's wrong? Han Feifei said arrogantly, if I hadn't pulled out the silver needle, Mr. Tang would have been killed by you. Just shut up. Tang Xinjia scolded her angrily, then looked at Chen Fan. Mr. Chen, stop talking nonsense to her, please save my father. No. Han Feifei ran up and stood in front of Chen Fan. Ms. Tang, he is not a doctor at all. He is a gigolo. He is a liar. He will kill your father. Bang. Tang Xinjia slapped Han Feifei on the face and said, if you have no ability, just get out of here. If anything happens to my dad, I will be the first one to punish you. After being slapped by Tang Xinjia, Han Feifei had no choice but to shut up obediently. Chen Fan inserted 6 silver needles into Tang's father's chest again, then pinched Mr. Tang's mouth and poured all the Chinese medicine he brought into Tang's father's mouth. Chen Fan, don't blame me for not reminding you. Han Feifei couldn't help but provoke, if you kill Tang's father, you will die. Upon hearing this, Chen Fan suddenly said, Miss Tang, I want to be quiet. Tang Xinjia got angry and gave Tang Zimo a look. Tang Zimo pulled Han Feifei's hair and said fiercely, if you say anything more, I will cut off your tongue. Han Feifei covered her mouth in fear. Although Tang Zimo didn't have a good impression of Chen Fan, he could only place his hopes on Chen Fan now. Chen Fan laid out 9 silver needles, and without hesitation, he flicked his fingers and moved as fast as the wind. The silver needles fell and hit the acupuncture points. Han Feifei curled her lips, but couldn't control her mouth. Mystification. As all 9 needles were inserted, Tang's father's originally pale face gradually became more red. A trickle of black blood slowly flowed out of his 7 orifices. Puff. Father Tang's body twitched first, and then he spat out a mouthful of blood. Tang Xinjia asked worriedly, Mr. Chen, why is my dad vomiting blood again? Han Feifei shouted excitedly, I'm going to die, I'm going to die. She wanted Tang's father to get better, but she didn't want to see Chen Fan cure Tang's father. A useless person like Chen Fan who lives off others is not worthy of being in the limelight, let alone having the qualifications to cling to the Tang family. Call. Before Chen Fan could speak, Tang's father took a deep breath and opened his eyes. Chapter 6 Young Master. Everyone was stunned when they saw Tang's father recovering. Medical equipment also showed that Mr. Tang's vital signs had returned to normal. No one could have imagined that so many experts had failed to cure Tang's father, but he was cured by just a few injections from a young man. Han Feifei was even more unbelievable. In her eyes, Chen Fan was a useless man who lived off his wife. If it weren't for Song Qingyan's support, he would have been begging outside long ago. How could he possibly know medical skills? But the facts before her forced her to believe that Chen Fan had cured Tang's father so easily. Mr. Chen, thank you for saving my dad. Tang Xinjia said gratefully, from now on, you are the benefactor of my Tang family. Zimo, thank Mr. Chen quickly. Tang Zimo no longer harbored hostility towards Chen Fan, and said sincerely, Mr. Chen, thank you. I'm sorry for offending you just now. I beg you not to hold it against me. Chen Fan waved his hand and said, it's nothing, just a little effort. Seeing this scene, Han Feifei was extremely dissatisfied and her eyes were full of jealousy. Tang Xinjia asked, Mr. Chen, you just said that my father was poisoned. How could he be poisoned? Your father was poisoned by a GU poison. Once the poison enters the body, it will quickly spread throughout the body and cause organ failure. Chen Fan said, this kind of poison is generally rare and almost impossible to come across. If I am right, someone wants to harm your father. Hearing this, Tang Xinjia's face turned serious. Thank you Mr. Chen for telling me, I must investigate this matter thoroughly. As the Tang family has grown to this day, they have made many enemies, and Tang Xinjia was not surprised that someone had secretly plotted to harm them. But the Tang family will not let it go so easily and will definitely investigate thoroughly. Once the murderer is found out, he will be made to pay the price. Ms. Tang, your father is fine now. Just take a good rest. Chen Fan said, I have something else to do, so I'll leave first. Mr. Chen, aren't you going to wait for my father to wake up? Tang Xinjia said, he said he still wants to reminisce with you. Reminiscing about the past. Chen Fan smiled and said, but I don't know your father. He glanced at Tang's father for a second longer. No one in Jiangzhou city knew that he had medical skills, and no one knew his identity. However, Tang's father knew him so clearly and even asked Tang Xinjia to find him. It seems that those people have arrived in Jiangzhou. Mr. Chen, I won't bother you anymore. Tang Xinjia took out a business card and handed it to Chen Fan, this is my business card. If you need any help, Mr. Chen, feel free to call me. I'll be there anytime you call. Good. Chen Fan didn't hesitate, he put away the business card and turned away. Chen Fan, you are so lucky. When passing by Han Feifei said sarcastically, I actually let you cure Mr. Tang, but you will never change the fact that you are a gigolo. She thought it through and realized that Chen Fan was able to cure Tang's father, which must be a coincidence. Even though Chen Fan is now relying on the Tang family, in her eyes, he is still a good-for-nothing gigolo. Dr. Han, Mr. Chen is now a noble of our Tang family, please be polite. Tang Xinjia said coldly, from today on, you don't have to come to work anymore, and no hospital in Jiangzhou city will hire you. It will be a tragedy for patients if such an unethical doctor like you continues to exist. Hearing this, Han Feifei's legs went weak and she sat on the ground, her face as pale as death. Tang Xinjia has made it clear that she will no longer have a place in the medical community in Jiangzhou city. Then, she turned her head to look at Chen Fan's leaving back, with viciousness in her eyes. She blamed all the faults on Chen Fan. Why did Chen Fan show up? Why could he cure Tang's father? If none of this had happened, she wouldn't have ended up like this. After the ward became quiet, not long after, Tang's father slowly woke up. Dad. Tang Xinjia asked, how do you feel now? I feel much better. Father Tang smiled, glanced around the ward, and asked, where's Mr. Chen? Is he gone? When he woke up, he knew that it was Chen Fan who saved him. Mr. Chen said he had something to do, so he left first. Tang Xinjia asked curiously, Dad, who is this Chen Fan? Father Tang's eyes showed a little more respect, he is a descendant of the Longju Chen family. He alone is enough to overthrow the entire Jiangzhou city. At this time, Chen Fan had just walked out of the hospital when a black Rolls-Royce with license plate number long A88888 stopped in front of him. Chen Fan's face was very calm about this, as if he had already expected it. Young master, I haven't seen you for many years. Are you okay? The car door opened and a middle-aged man in a suit got out of the car and bowed respectfully. Butler Nangong, please stop calling me young master. Chen Fan said calmly, I am no longer a member of the Chen family. The young master will always be the young master. Nangong Butler said respectfully, Madam is already waiting for the young master, please get in the car. What is she doing here? Madam is the young master's mother. She is naturally here to see her son. Son? Does she still have me as her son in her eyes? Chen Fan laughed at himself, she only cares about her own interests. Tell her that I won't see her. Don't come to me again in the future, including you. Young master, please don't get excited. Nangong Butler took out a jade pendant from his pocket and handed it to Chen Fan. Young master, you won't even listen to Master Xian's words, will you? Chen Fan's pupils shrank, and his originally cold expression softened. Chapter 7 Illegitimate Child. The Peninsular Hotel, a presidential suite. Sitting opposite Chen Fan was a noble lady wearing gold and silver and with exquisite makeup. Xiao Fan, do you really not want to see me? The lady's name is Xinjia, Chen Fan's mother. Facing the mother whom he had not seen for 5 years, Chen Fan was very calm and not moved at all. Do you have anything I should see? Chen Fan said calmly, the moment I was kicked out of the Chen family 5 years ago, I no longer regarded you as my mother. Xiao Fan, I know it's unfair to expel you from the Chen family, but that's not something I can decide. Xinjia sighed, you should know that your grandfather still has the final say in the Chen family. No need to explain. After all, I am just an illegitimate child. I am not even as good as a dog in the Chen family. Chen Fan laughed at himself, just tell me, what is the reason for you to come to me this time? Xiao Fan, I know you are very unhappy, but if there's nothing else, I'll leave. Without waiting for Xinjia to finish speaking, Chen Fan stood up and was about to leave. He didn't want to listen to any more nonsense. Etc. Xinjia said quickly, your grandfather is ill, and many famous doctors have been invited to treat him, but none of them can cure him, so I came to you to find a solution. So that's how it is. Chen Fan sneered, I was wondering, why would the Chen family send you to find me, someone who is worse than a dog? It turns out that the old man is dying. Xinjia said, Xiao Fan, don't say that, he is still your grandfather no matter what. Grandpa? Does he treat me as his grandson? To him, my existence is a threat to that person. Chen Fan said coldly, what makes me even more disappointed is that you, as a mother, didn't even look at me on the day I was kicked out of the Chen family. Xiao Fan, I'm sorry. I owe you so much. Xinjia's eyes turned red. As long as you are willing to treat your grandfather, the Chen family can satisfy you whatever you want. Chen Fan said, old man, if you are afraid of death, why don't you go find my master? My master's medical skills are much better than mine. Master Xian has gone on a journey, and no one can find him. Xinjia said, so I can only come to you. Now only you can save your grandfather. That's great. Chen Fan smiled playfully, tell the old man that I will be there on the day of his funeral. Xiao Fan. Xinjia asked, do you have to be so extreme? Jew. Compared to you, what am I? Chen Fan said coldly, 5 years, 5 whole years. Do you know how I spent these 5 years? Xinjia's face showed a trace of sadness. Xiao Fan, just give me a chance to make it up to you. Whatever you want, just state the conditions. I don't want anything. Chen Fan spread his hands and said, I have no desires or requests. Being an ordinary person is worse than being an illegitimate child who is worse than a dog. Xinjia asked, don't you want to take back your dignity? Hearing this, Chen Fan's face changed slightly. What do you mean? You just got divorced today, I won't tell you the reason. Xinjia asked, do you really want to be looked down upon like this forever and be a waste forever? Chen Fan fell into deep thought for a long time before saying, I'll consider it. After Chen Fan walked out of the room, Xinjia took out her cell phone and made a call. Dad, Chen Fan said he would consider it. I think he agreed. HMPH. Don't be shameless. Don't think that he can do whatever he wants just because he can cure my illness. A bastard should have the awareness of a bastard. Otherwise, even if I die, he will never get any benefit from the Chen family. At the Song family, Wang Chuanqiu returned with a lot of resentment. Qingyan, have you asked someone to teach Chen Fan a lesson? As soon as Wang Chuanqiu entered the door, he went straight to Song Qingyan's room. Mom, my sister is not at home. She went to the company. Song Mengxian said, I just heard that a wealthy family in Longju is going to hold a recruitment ceremony in Jiangzhou, and I plan to attend on behalf of the company. I don't care about the ceremony. Did your sister say she would help me get revenge? Wang Chuanqiu said angrily, Chen Fan, that ungrateful wolf, actually dared to hit me. I am so angry. In the past, Chen Fan was always timid and submissive in their family. Now that they were divorced, he dared to act so arrogantly in front of her and even watched her get beaten. This was something she couldn't accept. Mom, don't worry, I've already told Su Xiao about this. Song Mengxian said, he will be here soon. Boom boom boom. At this time, there was a knock on the door. Song Mengxian smiled, it must be young Master Su who has arrived. She ran to open the door, and outside stood a refined and handsome man, who was none other than Su Xiaobai, the young master of the Su group. He is also Song Qingyan's pursuer. Aunt, I heard you were beaten. Su Xiaobai asked, what happened? Tell me. Xiaobai, I have suffered so much injustice. Wang Chuanqiu said pitifully, it was my former good-for-nothing son-in-law who slapped me several times, and my face was swollen. This ungrateful person has been supported by our Song family for 5 years, but his true nature is revealed as soon as we get divorced. Wang Chuanqiu said angrily, if I had known this would happen, I should have kicked him out from the house. Aunt, calm down. Su Xiaobai comforted him, leave this matter to me. I will stand up for you and help you vent your anger. Okay, beat this ungrateful bastard hard for me. Wang Chuanqiu said with hatred, it's better to break one of his legs. Su Xiaobai smiled and said, no problem, I promise to satisfy my aunt. Su Xiaobai had long wanted to make trouble for Chen Fan. For no other reason than that he was originally Song Qingyan's husband. How could this useless guy who lives off others own such a beautiful woman like Song Qingyan? This time, there is a good opportunity to teach Chen Fan a lesson. Chapter 8 Showing Off Your Skills. On the other side, Tang Xinjia came out of the hospital and drove to the company. Call. Just when they were halfway there, 2 commercial vehicles blocked Tang Xinjia's car, one in front and one behind. Immediately afterwards, the car door opened, and more than a dozen burly men in black clothes came out of the car and surrounded Tang Xinjia's car. Tang Xinjia's face darkened. Who are you? What do you want to do? The dark-skinned man in the lead walked to the car door and looked at Tang Xinjia jokingly. Miss Tang, my boss wants to see you, please come with us. You are from the Qingzhou society, right? Tang Xinjia said coldly. You are so brave that you even want to tie me up. Ms. Tang, tying someone up is too harsh. We are inviting you. The dark-skinned man said with a smile. Get out of the car, Miss Tang, don't make my boss wait anxiously. I'm sorry, I don't want to go with you. Tang Xinjia rolled up the car window and said, if you want to take me away, it depends on whether you have the ability to do so. Miss Tang is so disrespectful, so don't blame us for being rude. The dark man took a step back and snapped his fingers. A strong man came up with a stick, raised it and smashed it against the car window. Bang! At this moment, a figure suddenly flashed over and grabbed the stick that was about to fall. Tang Xinjia was startled. Chen Fan. She didn't expect to meet Chen Fan here. Chen Fan swung the stick, and the sturdy man staggered a few steps. I'll give you 3 seconds, get out. Who the hell are you, kid? The dark-skinned man looked at her with disdain. You still want to be a hero and save the beauty? Do you know who I am? Have no idea. Chen Fan said indifferently, I only know that if you don't get out of here, you will kneel here. Damn it, you're looking for death. The dark-skinned man waved his hand and said, kill him. Bang. Without waiting for those sturdy men to make a move, Chen Fan kicked the dark-skinned man in the chest. The dark-skinned man was caught off guard and flew several meters away, falling heavily to the ground, almost unable to breathe. Go, beat him to death. The dark-skinned man was out of breath, and a dozen sturdy men rushed towards Chen Fan with murderous intent. Chen Fan grabbed a stick and rushed into the crowd, waving the stick in his hand. Bang, bang, bang. In just a blink of an eye, more than a dozen strong men were knocked to the ground by Chen Fan. The whole process was very efficient. The dark-skinned man was completely dumbfounded by the scene in front of him. This thin young man was so powerful that he knocked them all down in just a few moves. You didn't cherish the opportunity one gave you. Chen Fan said as he walked towards the dark-skinned man, then don't blame me for being merciless. Don't come over here, don't come over here. The dark-skinned man was obviously panicking, and he said tremblingly, I'm warning you, I'm from the Qingzhou society. Bang! Before he could finish his words, Chen Fan stepped on his chest. Crack! Along with the sound of bones breaking, one of the dark-skinned man's ribs was broken and he let out a scream. Stop hitting me. Please stop hitting me. Just as Chen Fan was about to continue, the dark-skinned man began to beg for mercy. I was wrong, I know I was wrong, I won't dare to do it again. Mr. Chen, please forgive him this time. At this time, Tang Xinjia came over and stared at the dark-skinned man. Go back and tell Feng Ming that my Tang family will never cooperate with him. Let him give up this idea. I'll remember what happened today. I'll pay you back tenfold someday. Tang Xinjia's eyes were cold. Get out of my sight immediately. The dark-skinned man didn't dare to say a word and limped away with the help of several strong men. Mr. Chen, thank you for saving me. Tang Xinjia looked at Chen Fan and said sincerely, I owe you another favor. You don't owe me anything. Chen Fan glanced into Tang Xinjia's bag and said, even if I don't show up, you can handle them by yourself. What are you talking about, Mr. Chen? How can a little girl like me fight against so many big men? Tang Xinjia smiled and said, let's get in the car first. We'll talk in the car. She was very surprised. Could it be that Chen Fan discovered that there was a gun hidden in her bag? This observation ability is too strong. Not only does he have extraordinary medical skills, but he is also so powerful that he is simply a monster. But it's still quite interesting. She became more and more interested in Chen Fan. As soon as he got in the car, Tang Xinjia changed the subject. Mr. Chen, why are you here? I just happened to pass by and I remembered your license plate. Chen Fan said, seeing you surrounded by so many people, I just happened to be in a bad mood, so I used them to vent my anger. Vent? Tang Xinjia couldn't help but smile. She thought Chen Fan's words were quite interesting. By the way, who are they? Chen Fan asked, why did I stop your car? They are from the Qingzhou society. Tang Xinjia explained, Qingzhou has always wanted to cooperate with our Tang family, but my father knows that they have a shady background, and once you have any connection with them, you can't get rid of it. My father has rejected them many times. But the Qingzhou society has set their sights on the Tang family's business and knows that our Tang family can bring them great benefits, so they used many means, both soft and hard, to force us to agree. But my father's attitude is very firm. He will never have any contact with Qingzhou Hui. There was a hint of anger in Tang Xinjia's eyes. My dad was poisoned this time. I suspect it was the Qingzhou society who did it. If that's the case, you better be careful. Chen Fan reminded, even if they didn't succeed this time, there will be another time, until they force your Tang family to compromise. We in the Tang family don't take the Qingzhou society seriously. The most important thing is the backers behind them. Tang Xinjia said, after destroying one Qingzhou society, another will jump out, so we can only force the backers of Qingzhou society to take action, so that we can cut the grass and eradicate it completely. Chapter 9 Unreasonable. Chen Fan couldn't help but look at Tang Xinjia a few more times. This woman is really a strong woman. Although she is very beautiful and pretty, she is by no means a vase, but rather a very capable person. It's just that my dad is still recuperating, and my brother is not doing well. Tang Xinjia looked straight at Chen Fan. I don't know if a little girl like me can handle it. Chen Fan's eyelids twitched. He always felt that Tang Xinjia was hiding something from her words. Mr. Chen, how about this? I see that you are quite strong. If you don't mind, can you protect me? Tang Xinjia continued, I will give you a very generous reward. This. Mr. Chen, I beg you. Tang Xinjia shook Chen Fan's arm and said coquettishly, look, it's not easy for a little girl like me to support a company. Now I have to face danger all the time. I can't live without a man by my side. Please be kind and promise me. Seeing Tang Xinjia acting like a spoiled child, Chen Fan felt helpless. Anyway, he had nothing to do recently, so he nodded, okay. Thank you, Mr. Chen. Tang Xinjia smiled contentedly. She tried every means to keep Chen Fan by her side. On the one hand, she was interested in Chen Fan, and on the other hand, her father had instructed her to do so. If possible, try to get closer to Chen Fan, because Chen Fan has a huge family behind him. In the evening, at the Song family, Song Qingyan came back dragging a tired body. Qingyan, you're back just in time. Wang Chuanqiu greeted, the food is ready, come and eat, Master Su is here too. Because Su Xiaobai promised to help Wang Chuanqiu get revenge, Wang Chuanqiu enthusiastically invited Su Xiaobai to have dinner at his home. Looking at Song Qingyan's sexy figure and beautiful appearance, Su Xiaobai's eyes lit up. Song Qingyan went back to her room first, changed into casual clothes and came out. Qingyan, you have to thank Mr. Su for me this time. As soon as Song Qingyan sat down, Wang Chuanqiu said, young Master Su promised to help me teach Chen Fan, that ungrateful wolf, a lesson. Mom, don't bother Chen Fan anymore. Song Qingyan was somewhat helpless. Chen Fan has already apologized, so let's forget about this matter. Qingyan, I am your mother. Wang Chuanqiu was unhappy when she heard this. That ungrateful bastard beat up your mother and he apologized to you, and you just want to let it go. Is there any daughter like you? No, this matter will not end until he kneels down and apologizes to me in person. Wang Chuanqiu couldn't swallow her anger when she thought of Chen Fan's dominance in front of her. In her opinion, when Chen Fan saw her, he should be humble and submissive and had no right to give her the cold shoulder. Song Qingyan sighed and said, Mom, please tell me clearly why Chen Fan hit you. On my way home, I saw Chen Fan with another woman. Isn't this a seamless transition? He just divorced you and is already hooking up with another woman. Wang Chuanqiu became angrier and angrier as he thought about it. I suspected that he had been hooking up with some questionable woman before he divorced you, so I scolded him. Guess what? The woman he hooked up with actually had a bodyguard, and that woman's bodyguard beat me up. And where is Chen Fan? He is just watching beside me and he doesn't help me. Wang Chuanqiu slammed the table and said, afterwards he said I deserved to be beaten. Look, is that human language? Tell me, should I seek revenge on him? Song Qingyan asked, in other words, Chen Fan didn't hit you. He didn't hit me. Wang Chuanqiu said dissatisfiedly, but he watched others beat me, didn't stop them, and even scolded me that I deserved it. How is this different from him beating me? Now Song Qingyan finally understood. Wang Chuanqiu must have said something unpleasant when he saw Chen Fan with another woman, which led to him being beaten by the woman's bodyguard. She understood her mother's temper, but she just couldn't control her mouth. This matter is not Chen Fan's fault. Sister, I think Mom is right. Song Qingyan said, Mom is Chen Fan's ex-mother-in-law anyway, and Chen Fan has been eating and drinking for free at our house for 5 years. How could he not stop it when he saw Mom being beaten? No matter what, Chen Fan was wrong, and he must kneel down and apologize to Mom. Wang Chuanqiu nodded repeatedly. Mengxian is right, I have to go find Chen Fan to settle the score for this matter. Song Qingyan suppressed her anger and said, Mom, don't you think this is unreasonable? Song Qingyan, how can you talk like that? I'm your mother. Wang Chuanqiu was furious. It's fine if you don't help your mother, but you actually speak up for that ungrateful bastard. Song Qingyan said, Mom, I am just talking about the facts. Okay, stop talking. Wang Chuanqiu said unhappily, it doesn't matter if you don't help me. Anyway, I have young Master Su to help me. No matter what, I must make Chen Fan pay the price. Aunt, Qingyang, don't be impulsive. There's no need to get angry over someone like Chen Fan. It's not worth it. Su Xiaobai stepped forward to smooth things over. Come on, let's eat first, and then we can have a good chat after dinner. I have no appetite, you guys eat. Song Qingyang put down her bowl and chopsticks, turned around and walked back to her room, closed the door and locked it. Su Xiaobai's heart sank. He didn't expect that even though Song Qingyang was divorced from Chen Fan, she still had a place for Chen Fan in her heart. This made him very jealous. Song Qingyang sat silently on the edge of the bed, feeling a little regretful. She should have guessed that Chen Fan would not hit her mother, but she did not listen to Chen Fan's explanation and instead blamed Chen Fan wrongly. Chen Fan must be very disappointed with him. Chapter 10. We are not familiar. Crystal Building. This is the tallest and most prosperous building in Jiangzhou, with all the facilities available. In front of the magnificent gate, luxury cars gathered one after another, and almost all the important figures in Jiangzhou city were present. Today is the recruitment ceremony of the wealthy Chen family in Longju. In the hearts of Jiangzhou people, the Chen family of Longju is like a god, out of reach. This is an opportunity to establish a relationship with the Chen family. As long as you can cooperate with the Chen family, you can stand at the top of Jiangzhou. A Porsche slowly stopped at the door opened, and a beautiful woman in a sexy black dress walked out. Her appearance immediately attracted everyone's attention. The women around her, no matter how beautifully they were dressed, became mere foils in front of her. That must be Song Qingyang, the chairman of the Song Group. She is really pretty, like a big star from TV. I don't know which man is so lucky to get such a beautiful woman. A group of men looked at Song Qingyan with greedy eyes, as if their eyes were glued to Song Qingyang and couldn't move away. I heard that the Chen family has bought the entire crystal building. They are really rich. Song Mengxian followed behind Song Qingyang and sighed as she looked at the crystal building. If you only book one floor, it may not be a big deal, but if you book the entire building, it will cost at least tens of millions. Song Mengxian dressed up specially today, but she looked too ordinary in front of Song Qingyang. As the top wealthy family in Longju, the Chen family's financial resources are naturally beyond our imagination. Song Qingyang had a little more admiration. It is our honor to be able to participate in the Chen family's recruitment ceremony this time. She has high aspirations and is very ambitious. She also fantasized that one day she can make the Song family like the Chen family, but she knows that is wishful thinking. Qingyang, you are here. At this time, a young man in a suit walked behind Song Qingyang and smiled gentlemanly. It was Su Xiaobai. It's Mr. Su. Song Qingyang greeted him. Do you also want to cooperate with the Chen family? Su Xiaobai nodded. Of course, who in Jiangzhou doesn't want to get a piece of the Chen family's cake? Song Mengxian said, Young Master Su, with the strength of your Su family, the chances should be great. It shouldn't be a big problem. After all, there are not many people in Jiangzhou who can be compared with our Su family. Su Xiaobai's face was more confident, but don't worry, Qingyang, I will also lend you a hand and try to get you to cooperate with the Chen family. Real. Before Song Qingyang could express her opinion, Song Mengxian said excitedly, Mr. Su, thank you so much, you are the benefactor of our Song family. If Su Xiaobai didn't like Song Qingyang, Song Mengxian would have wanted to have sex with her herself. Thinking about that loser Chen Fan, he really can't be compared with Su Xiaobai. Mengxian is too polite. Su Xiaobai smiled and said, We are all family, so it's only natural for us to help out. When Song Mengxian heard this, she became even more excited. Young Master Su is right, we are all family. Call. Just then, a Panamera drove over. An even more stunning woman, Tang Xinjia, got down from the driver's seat. Her appearance immediately attracted everyone's attention, even Song Qingyan was overshadowed. A man in ordinary clothes got out of the passenger seat, but he didn't attract much attention. But Song Qingyan was stunned. It was Chen Fan. Because of her mother, she had a big misunderstanding about Chen Fan, and she always felt guilty about it. Chen Fan. Song Qingyan took the initiative to walk in front of Chen Fan. Mr. Song, is there anything wrong? Chen Fan looked at Song Qingyan with a very unfamiliar look. Nothing, nothing. Seeing Chen Fan being so indifferent, Song Qingyan swallowed the words that were about to come out of her mouth. Tang Xinjia came to Chen Fan's side. Chen Fan, is she your friend? Chen Fan said calmly, ex-wife. I see. Tang Xinjia took the initiative to extend her hand to Song Qingyan, and said gracefully, hello, you must be Ms. Song Qingyan, nice to meet you, my last name is Tang. Song Qingyan was stunned for a moment. Her mother told her that Chen Fan had another woman outside. She didn't believe it at first, but now it seems to be true. Although they were divorced, she still felt a little unwilling to see Chen Fan find another woman so quickly. It's like something that belongs to you has been taken away by someone else. Hello. Song Qingyan stretched out her hand, shook hands with Tang Xinjia casually, and then put it down. She couldn't help but look at Tang Xinjia a few more times. This woman was very beautiful. Dignified and elegant, with a graceful temperament. Although she didn't want to admit it, she was much weaker than the woman in front of her. Song Qingyan looked at Chen Fan. Chen Fan, is she your friend? Chen Fan responded casually. This answer was not what Song Qingyan wanted to hear. She hoped to hear Chen Fan say that they were just ordinary friends, but Chen Fan's answer was indifferent, which added a bit of obscurity. Chen Fan, come with me. Song Qingyan hesitated for a moment. I have something to tell you. She wanted to explain her mother's affairs to Chen Fan. Just say what you want to say. Chen Fan said, no need to beat around the bush, we are not very familiar with each other. Not very familiar? Song Qingyan didn't expect Chen Fan to say this. After all, they had been husband and wife for 5 years. Chen Fan, is this necessary? Song Qingyan shook her lips. Mr. Song, we are divorced. Chen Fan said, just say whatever you want to say. There is no need to stay in touch with me for too long, so as not to affect your reputation. Hearing this, Song Qingyan also became a little angry. Chen Fan, I took the initiative to divorce you. I also know that you hate me, but you don't have to treat me in this way. I never think divorce is wrong. It's you who are wrong. You are the one who is not motivated enough. Chapter 11 Because I'm more handsome than you. Song Qingyan's tone became a little more serious. In the past 5 years, she has always taken the initiative in front of Chen Fan, but now Chen Fan is so strong in front of her, which she really cannot accept. Especially since there was a beautiful woman standing next to Chen Fan, who was no less beautiful than her, which also hit her self-confidence. There is no point in arguing about who is right and who is wrong. Chen Fan remained calm. In short, there is no relationship between us anymore. Chen Fan, after all, you are just trying to piss me off on purpose, aren't you? Song Qingyan said in a deep voice, you brought a woman to me, are you trying to prove to me how charming you are and that you can find another woman at any time? You think too much. I don't need to prove anything to you. Chen Fan looked behind Song Qingyan. Besides, you have no right to say anything about me. Look at what you have done first. Song Qingyan raised her eyebrows and realized that Su Xiaobai had walked behind her. Qingyan, why are you here? Su Xiaobai deliberately got very close to Song Qingyan, but when he saw the stunningly beautiful Tang Xinjia, his eyes lit up instantly. Beauty. At this moment, these two words were the only ones that could describe it in his mind. Song Qingyan is already sexy enough, but she is still a little inferior to Tang Xinjia. She just needs to stand there, without making any movement. Just one look is enough to make her look charming. Chen Fan. Su Xiaobai was attracted by Tang Xinjia's figure and noticed Chen Fan. When he saw Chen Fan and Tang Xinjia standing close to each other, a feeling of jealousy surged up in him. He is obviously a good-for-nothing who lives off his wife. First he married Song Qingyan, and now he has such a beautiful woman by his side. What qualifications does he have? Chen Fan, this is the first time we meet, but I often hear Qingyan mention you. Su Xiaobai smiled playfully. After seeing it today, it is indeed as Qingyan said. There was a hint of sarcasm in his words. Chen Fan said, "It's my honor, but I haven't heard of you." "You'll know later." Su Xiaobai's mouth twitched. "Why? Are you here to attend the recruitment ceremony as well?" Chen Fan said, "Is it not possible?" "Of course you can, but I don't know if you can get in." Su Xiaobai said with a hint of hostility, "Everyone who comes to attend the ceremony today is either rich or noble. How can a gigolo like you get in?" Chen Fan didn't even look at him. "You don't have to worry about whether I can get in or not. A dead duck is still stubborn." Su Xiaobai rolled her eyes in disdain, then looked at Tang Xinjia. "My beauty, have you been deceived by him? He is not a rich man, but a gigolo. You should be more careful." He was sure that Tang Xinjia was fooled by Chen Fan, otherwise how could such a top goddess be so close to Chen Fan? "That's my own business, it has nothing to do with you." Tang Xinjia said, "If Chen Fan wants to deceive me, I am willing to be deceived by him." "Beauty, I mean well." Su Xiaobai frowned slightly. "When he cheats you of your money and sex, it will be too late to regret it." Tang Xinjia smiled charmingly. "Cheating money and sex, great, I'd love to do that." Su Xiaobai was stunned. "Beauty, didn't you understand what I said? He is a liar." Not only was he confused, but even Song Qingyan and Song Mengxian were also very confused. What kind of magic power does Chen Fan have that can make such a beautiful woman so infatuated with him? It's no good for a dog to catch a mouse. I like being cheated by Chen Fan, is that not okay? Tang Xinjia was getting impatient. "Get lost now. You want to sow discord. Don't you know what you are doing?" Su Xiaobai was anxious. "Chen Fan, what kind of drug did you give this beauty?" He had been pursuing Song Qingyan for so long but still couldn't get her. But as soon as Chen Fan divorced Song Qingyan, he got such a beauty. How did Chen Fan succeed? Want to know? Chen Fan said, "Because I'm more handsome than you." "You?" Su Xiaobai was so angry that he almost vomited blood. "Master Su, it doesn't matter if she doesn't appreciate it. It's hard to persuade a damned ghost with kind words. Sooner or later, she will regret it." Song Mengxian glared at Chen Fan and said, "Chen Fan, don't think that being with a rich woman can change your nature as a loser. You will always be a gigolo." This was not the scene she wanted to see. In her imagination, after divorcing her sister, Chen Fan should have returned to his life as a loser instead of showing off in front of them. Song Qingyan couldn't stand it any longer. "Have you two known each other for a long time?" Judging from Tang Xinjia's attitude towards Chen Fan, they might have had an affair for a long time. Could it be that they were already hooking up before she and Chen Fan divorced? Chen Fan cheated on his wife. "No, we've only known each other for 3 days." Tang Xinjia hooked Chen Fan's arm and smiled sweetly. "Although we have known each other for a long time, I find that Chen Fan is particularly outstanding. He is the best man I have ever met." Seeing such an intimate scene, Song Qingyan's expression instantly turned cold. Tang Xinjia was deliberately asserting her sovereignty, which made her feel sour and uncomfortable. "Chen Fan, I always thought you were a steady man." Song Qingyan bit her lip and said, "I didn't expect that you would have another woman just a few days after the divorce. I was wrong about you before." She felt powerless and anxious. These words were just her way of venting her inner resentment. "Yes, you misjudged me." Chen Fan said indifferently, "Just like 5 years ago, I misjudged you." Song Qingyan's heart felt like it was pierced by a needle. "By the way, Miss Song, I still want to thank you." Tang Xinjia leaned her head on Chen Fan's arm. "If you hadn't divorced Chen Fan, I wouldn't have had the chance to meet such an outstanding man like Chen Fan." Chapter 12 Can't Die. Song Qingyan's face looked extremely ugly. This was a provocation to her. Madness. Song Mengxian snorted coldly, "This kind of useless gigolo, only people like you treat her as a treasure. Trash. That's ridiculous." Tang Xinjia couldn't help but laugh. "That's just because you don't understand Chen Fan. In my opinion, there is no man better than Chen Fan in this world. A frog in a well." Song Mengxian pointed at Su Xiaobai and said, "Do you know who this is? He is the young master of the Su group. He is much better than Chen Fan." She thought Tang Xinjia was ridiculous, just like a white rabbit who had never seen the world. She actually thought that Chen Fan, a gigolo, was excellent. She was really deceived. Su Xiaobai looked at Chen Fan and said contemptuously, "Meng Xian, you compare me with this gigolo, aren't you humiliating me?" He? Tang Xinjia glanced at Su Xiaobai, then chuckled, "He is not even as good as one finger of Chen Fan." "Beauty, are you crazy?" Su Xiaobai was so angry that he laughed. "Don't even think about comparing this kind of loser to me. He is not even as good as my driver. It's really hilarious." Song Mengxian said disdainfully, "Young Master Su has money and fame, but trash like Chen Fan is not even as good as a hair of young Master Su." Song Qingyan didn't say anything, but just shook her head slightly. Compared with Su Xiaobai, Chen Fan was indeed worlds apart. "You are so pitiful. One day, you will find out how ridiculous you are." Tang Xinjia shook her head helplessly. "Chen Fan, let's go in. There's no need to waste time talking to this kind of person." Chen Fan nodded, and walked into the crystal building hand in hand with Tang Xinjia. "How's it going? Is it refreshing?" Tang Xinjia didn't let go of Chen Fan's arm until Song Qingyan and the others were out of sight. Chen Fan said, "Thank you. Don't be so polite to me, they really are like clowns." Tang Xinjia said, "Your ex-wife is also blind, it's better to divorce her." Chen Fan smiled faintly and didn't say much. Song Qingyan and the others looked at the direction where Chen Fan was walking away, their faces not looking very good. "Sis, you see, you were right to divorce that loser." Song Mengxian said indignantly, "He won't be able to be so proud for a few days. When that woman gets tired of playing with him, she will kick him out." Su Xiaobai curled her lips and said, "How can girls nowadays be so stupid that they would be deceived by such a loser? With his status, how can Chen Fan compare with him?" But he didn't expect that he couldn't get the woman he wanted, but Chen Fan could. "Okay, don't worry about Chen Fan. We are here for the ceremony today." Song Qingyang tried her best to forget what happened just now. "Master Su, do you know who is in charge of tonight's ceremony? I got some tips through the grapevine." Su Xiaobai said, "I heard that he is a young master of the Chen family, but he seems to have never shown up, because no one has seen him." Song Mengxian said, "Master Su, is there no way to make an appointment with this young master? If we can meet this young master, we will have the opportunity to cooperate with the Chen family." Su Xiaobai smiled bitterly, "I'm afraid it's a bit difficult. It's hard to see a family of the level of the Tang family." He felt that Song Mengxian was really dreaming. If she could meet him, she would have found a way to do it long ago. There was no need for her to talk. "Let's go in first." Song Qingyang said, "The young master should be in there, let's see if we can meet him." If she could meet the young master of the Chen family, she would have the confidence to discuss cooperation with the Chen family. In the 5 years since she started her business, she has been doing very well, which makes her very confident in business. After Chen Fan and Tang Xinjia entered the lobby, Tang Xinjia went to greet his friends in the business world, while Chen Fan took the elevator to the top floor. Chen Fan pushed open the office door and found butler Nangong already waiting there. "Young master." Nangong butler handed a document to Chen Fan. "Here is the list of companies that will be attending the ceremony tonight. There are only a few that meet the requirements. Please take a look. Is there a Tang family?" Chen Fan took the document and asked without even looking at it. "Have." Nangong butler replied, "The Tang family is the top family in Jiangzhou city, and they also have some connections with our Chen family. He is the most suitable partner for our Chen family in Jiangzhou, but the final decision is still up to the young master. Let the Tang family pass." Chen Fan opened the document, glanced at it, and saw several familiar company names. Su Group, Song Group. Nangong butler noticed that Chen Fan's eyes stayed on the Song Group for a long time, so he asked, "Young master, this Song Group belongs to your ex-wife, do you want to cross it out?" "No need, I have my own decision." Chen Fan said, "It is this Su Group that is not qualified to cooperate with me. I will put the Su Group on the blacklist permanently." Butler Nangong didn't ask any more questions, but just nodded, "Understood." Chen Fan closed the document, threw it away, turned around and was about to leave. "Young master, madam asked me to ask you." Nangong butler suddenly said, "She has agreed to everything you want. When will you return to the Chen family to treat the master?" Chen Fan's eyes darkened. "Why rush? Doesn't that old guy still have 3 months to live? Anyway, as long as he doesn't die, that's fine." Chapter 13 Three Places. The hall was already filled with noise. Celebrities from all walks of life greeted each other, chatted with each other, and took this opportunity to seek cooperation. When Chen Fan came out of the elevator, he ran into Song Qingyan, Song Mengxian, and Su Xiaobai. Seeing Chen Fan, Song Mengxian looked disgusted. "Why do I run into you again? What bad luck?" Song Qingyan turned her head away and pretended not to see Chen Fan. "Chen Fan, today is the recruitment ceremony, what are you doing here?" Su Xiaobai looked at Chen Fan and said sarcastically, "Are you here to eat and drink for free?" "Yes." Chen Fan picked up a glass of red wine and drank it, then picked up a piece of meat and put it in his mouth. Su Xiaobai's face twitched. He had never seen anyone with such a thick skin. People like this coming in simply lowers the level of the ceremony. Song Mengxian said angrily, "I get so angry when I see him, let's call the security guard to kick him out." Chen Fan said, "If you think you have the ability, you can give it a try. You don't want to be ashamed, huh?" Song Mengxian turned around and went to find the security guard. "I'll see how you embarrass yourself later." Song Qingyan held her back. "Forget it, ignore him, we are here to do business." "Sister, he is too arrogant." Song Mengxian was so angry that she stamped her feet. "After hooking up with a rich woman, he doesn't even know his last name." Song Qingyan said, "Just pretend you can't see him." Song Mengxian pointed at Chen Fan unwillingly and said, "Just wait for me." Just then, Song Qingyan's cell phone suddenly rang. After she answered the phone, her face changed slightly. "Okay, I understand." After hanging up the phone, Song Mengxian asked, "Sister, what's wrong?" "I just received news that there are only 3 spots available for cooperation with the Chen family." Song Qingyan said, "The Tang family has already confirmed a quota." "Only 3? Song Mengxian looked heavy-hearted. "There are still 2 spots left. The Su family will definitely get one. There is only 1 spot left. What should we do?" "With the Tang family's strength in Jiangzhou city, there is no doubt that they will get a spot. The Su family is one of the most powerful families in Jiangzhou, so it should not be a problem for them to get a spot. But the Song group is not the best, and the chance of getting the last spot is very slim." Song Qingyan's face looked a little ugly. She didn't expect that the Chen family would give so few places. Song Mengxian sighed and said, "Sister, we don't stand a chance." "Don't worry, let me think about it." Song Qingyan didn't want to admit defeat. She wanted to seize even the slightest chance. Because she knew very well that as long as she could cooperate with the Chen family, the scale of the Song group would be expanded, and it would be no problem for it to become a first-tier company in Jiangzhou city. "Qingyan, don't worry, I'm here." Su Xiaobai stood up and said, "I will help you get the last spot." Song Qingyan was startled. "Master Su, can you really do it?" "I'll call my dad right away and ask him to draft an agreement for cooperation with the Song group." Su Xiaobai said, "As long as the Su family cooperates with the Song group, the market value of the Song group will increase, enough to surpass other companies, and the opportunity to cooperate with the Chen family will become very great." Hearing this, Song Qingyan said with gratitude, "Mr. Su, thank you very much. If I can really cooperate with the Chen family, I will repay you well. We are all family, no need to be so polite." Su Xiaobai took out his cell phone with a smile, called his father and explained the reason to him. "Song Group? That second-rate company in Jiangzhou. If we cooperate, what benefits can we get from the Su family? I'll think about it." Su Xiaobai's father said a few words on the phone and then hung up, which made Su Xiaobai a little embarrassed. Song Mengxian couldn't wait to ask, "Mr. Su, what happened?" "No problem, I've talked to my dad about it." Su Xiaobai put on a relaxed expression. "He has already asked his secretary to draft an agreement." Song Mengxian said excitedly, "That's really great." Su Xiaobai knew very well that his father would not help him with this, but he had to save face in front of Song Qingyan. Even if the Song group fails to get the last spot, he will have a reason to make excuses. After all, a company of the size of the Song group is really not in the eyes of the Chen family. Chen Fan saw this scene. He knew that Song Qingyan really needed this opportunity. Although they were divorced, Chen Fan didn't want to make things too extreme. After hesitating for a long time, he took out his mobile phone and sent a text message. Less than a minute later, Song Qingyan's cell phone rang again, and she quickly took it out and answered it. "Is this Mr. Song? I'm the housekeeper of the Chen family, my name is Nangong. Butler Nangong. Song Qingyan was stunned and couldn't recover for a while. Why did the Chen family's housekeeper suddenly call her? Hello, I'm Song Qingyan. Song Qingyan was flattered and asked politely, Excuse me, Butler Nangong, what can I do for you? It's like this, I've read the information about the Song Group. Nangong Butler said, Your company meets our requirements, so we decided that the Song Group will become the Chen family's second partner in Jiangzhou. What? Hearing this, Song Qingyan almost fainted. She couldn't believe her ears. She can actually cooperate with the Chen family. All this happened so suddenly and unbelievably. Song Qingyan couldn't believe it. Butler Nangong, is everything you said true? Of course. Come to my office to sign the contract before noon tomorrow, and our cooperation will take effect. After saying that, Butler Nangong hung up the phone. Song Qingyan's eyes were dull, she felt like she was dreaming. Sister, what's going on? Who called you? Song Mengxian asked. It's Nangong, the housekeeper of the Chen family. Song Qingyan was surprised and said, He asked me to go to his office tomorrow to sign the contract. The Song Group will officially become a partner of the Chen family. Chapter 14, The Villain Succeeds. Sister, our family is going to be prosperous. Song Mengxian couldn't suppress her excitement. This is all thanks to Mr. Su's help. Without Mr. Su, this may not be accomplished. Yes, we owe Master Su a great favor this time. Song Qingyan also thought that it was Su Xiaobai who helped her. After all, Su Xiaobai had just finished calling his father when Butler Nangong called to discuss cooperation with the Song Group. It seems that the Su family's power in Jiangzhou is second only to the Tang family. It's a small matter. Su Xiaobai smiled proudly and said, In Jiangzhou city, the Chen family has to give our Su family some face. He also didn't expect that his father was really willing to help him. Just now my father said he would think about it. He thought there was no hope, but he didn't expect it to be done so quickly. In this way, he has a great chance of catching up with Song Qingyan. Puff. Chen Fan on the side couldn't help but laugh. Song Mingxuan's eyes turned cold. Chen Fan, what are you laughing at? Nothing, just continue. Chen Fan couldn't help laughing. It's just that I saw such a shameless person, I really couldn't help it. Hearing this, Su Xiaobai's face darkened. Are you calling me shameless? Have you found your seat? Chen Fan sneered. After all, no normal person would do such a thing as stealing credit. Su Xiaobai was angry. You said I stole the credit. Whose credit did I steal? Chen Fan snorted coldly. You know it clearly in your heart. Chen Fan, shut up. Song Mengxian scolded. With just one phone call from young Master Su, the Chen family was able to cooperate with us. You said he stole the credit, but did he steal your credit? Can you do it? Take a piss first and see what you have. What qualifications do you have to criticize young Master Su? Don't be too confident, or you might flatter the wrong person. Chen Fan thought it was ridiculous. Who the hell is the Su family? Do they deserve the Chen family to give them face? How dare you humiliate my Su family? Su Xiaobai's face turned grim. Okay, you don't accept it, right? Let me show you how I slap you in the face. He took out his cell phone and called his father. What do you want? Nothing, Dad. I just want to thank you for cooperating with the Song Group. That's why the Chen family. What kind of cooperation? Is that second-rate company worthy of cooperating with me? I have clients to meet with and I'm very busy. I don't have time to play house with you. Before Su Xiaobai could finish his words, his father started talking a lot and then hung up the phone. Su Xiaobai was completely stunned. It turned out that it was not his father who helped him. Why did the Chen family cooperate with the Song Group? Did the Chen family really value the strength of the Song Group? This is impossible. In Jiangzhou city, there are too many companies more powerful than the Song Group. Master Su, why are you silent? Chen Fan sarcastically asked, Does your Su family have such great ability? Although Su Xiaobai did not turn on the speakerphone, Chen Fan could guess what Su Xiaobai's father said. Mr. Su, tell this unsophisticated gigolo what kind of existence the Su family is in Jiangzhou. The more Song Mengxian looked at Chen Fan, the more she disliked him. Otherwise, this kind of rubbish doesn't know how high the sky is and how deep the earth is. No need to explain to this clown. Su Xiaobai said, I have confirmed with my father. If he hadn't decided to cooperate with the Song Group, the Chen family would not have become a partner with the Song group so easily. Par. Chen Fan clapped his hands and gave Su Xiaobai a thumbs up. The word shameless suits you best. A clown is a clown. Su Xiaobai felt weak inside, but appeared calm on the surface. It is a shame for me to argue with a lowly person like you. Who is the real clown? Don't you know? Chen Fan said, since you said that the Chen family has to give face to your Su family, then I want to ask, why can't your Su family cooperate with the Chen family? Isn't this a done deal? Su Xiaobai was full of confidence, except for the Tang family, who in the entire Jiangzhou can compete with our Su family. It's good to be confident. Chen Fan raised his lips. I'm afraid I'll be slapped in the face. Chen Fan, shut up. At this time, Song Qingyan couldn't help it. Why do you keep targeting Su Xiao? Are you jealous of Su Xiao? She was convinced that it was Su Xiaobai who helped her. So Chen Fan kept humiliating Su Xiaobai, and she couldn't stand it anymore. Envy. Chen Fan found it funny. You mean, I am slandering him? Isn't it? Young Master Su is simply better than you. If you are jealous of young Master Su, then work hard on your own instead of always belittling others. Song Qingyan scolded, before you belittle others, look at yourself first. Do you think it's glorious to be a gigolo? She was implying that Chen Fan had just divorced her and had hooked up with another woman. Chen Fan laughed at himself, derogatory. I'm just telling the truth. Is there anything you said that is true? Song Qingyan said with disgust, from beginning to end, I only saw your jealousy at work. Before the divorce, she never realized that Chen Fan would be such a petty person. This made her think that divorcing Chen Fan was the right thing to do. Light smoke, calm down. Su Xiaobai whispered softly, I know that Chen Fan is upset because he sees that I am close to you, so he deliberately makes trouble for me. After all, I helped you cooperate with the Chen family, and Chen Fan couldn't help you at all. It's normal for him to be jealous of me. I'm not angry, so don't be angry either. Looking at Su Xiaobai's smug face, Chen Fan really wanted to tear his mouth apart. Chen Fan, you see, this is the gap between you and Su Xiao. Song Qingyan said, Mr. Su is very well-mannered. He doesn't bother with you at all. Not only is his status higher than yours, but his mind is also broader than yours. Look at yourself, don't you look like a narrow-minded person? Chapter 15 The Prince. Qingyan, don't pay attention to him. Su Xiaobai snorted coldly, let's go. Song Qingyan glanced at Chen Fan coldly, then turned around and left with Su Xiaobai. Chen Fan was too lazy to talk any more with them and found a seat to sit down. This piece of trash makes me angry when I see him. Sister, you really misjudged me in the first place. The more Song Mengxian thought about it, the angrier she became. Song Qingyan didn't say much, and her face looked very ugly, obviously agreeing with what Song Mengxian said. The three of them found a place to sit down. Mr. Su, sister, please sit down first. I'm going to the bathroom. Song Mengxian turned and walked towards the bathroom. She came out of the bathroom and fiddled with her hair in front of the mirror on the sink. At this time, a drunk young man staggered out of the bathroom next door. Seeing Song Mengxian in a short skirt, he smiled wickedly and moved up behind Song Mengxian. Beauty, do you want to have a drink together? The young man pressed against Song Mengxian's back. Who are you? Get out of the way. Song Mengxian was so scared that she screamed and pushed the young man away. Don't be afraid, I'm not a bad person. The young man reached out his hand and touched Song Mengxian's face. Come on, have a drink with me. Go away. Song Mengxian shook off the young man's hand and turned sideways to leave. Damn it, you're shameless, huh? The young man grabbed Song Mengxian's hair and said, no woman has ever dared to refuse me. Let go, don't touch me. Song Mengxian slapped the young man in the face with her backhand, stunning him. Before the young man could react, Song Mengxian ran out of the bathroom. Bitch, you dare to hit me. The young man immediately became angry. Song Mengxian ran all the way back to the dining table. Master Su, sister, there is a pervert harassing me. Song Qingyan frowned slightly, what's going on? Su Xiaobai stood up immediately. Mengxian, don't be afraid, I'm here. Bitch, you want to run away after I beat you? Then the young man chased after him, cursing. Song Mengxian quickly hid behind Su Xiaobai, trembling. Mr. Su, he is the one who harassed me. Boy, don't act wild in front of me, get out of here now. Su Xiaobai stepped forward and stood in front of the young man. He wanted to perform well in front of Song Qingyan. Fuck you, who the hell are you? The young man pointed at Su Xiaobai's nose and cursed. You want to be a hero and save the beauty, but don't you think you have the ability to do it? If you don't want to die, get out of here. Su Xiaobai said coldly, do you know who I am? How dare you talk to me like that? I don't give a fuck who you are. The young man was very arrogant. My name is Feng Ming. Feng Ming? Never heard of him. Su Xiaobai said disdainfully, I'll give you 3 seconds to disappear from my sight, otherwise don't blame me for being rude. You're looking for death. The young man staggered towards Su Xiaobai with a punch. Su Xiaobai grabbed the young man's fist and kicked him in the stomach. Ouch! The young man huddled on the ground, holding his stomach, and almost vomited out the wine he had drunk. Song Qingyan shouted excitedly, Master Su, beat him to death, who asked him to harass me? You harass girls and are so arrogant. You really deserve a beating. Su Xiaobai felt that he was so handsome at the moment. I'll teach you a lesson this time. If you do it again, I will make you disappear from Jiangzhou. If you dare to hit me, you're dead. The young man gnashed his teeth and said, if you have the guts, don't leave. I'll go get some help. After saying these harsh words, the young man turned and left. Oh, you are such a fool. Su Xiaobai didn't take the young man seriously at all. As long as the people he attacked were not from the Chen or Tang family, he didn't care. Mr. Su, thank you for helping me teach this hooligan a lesson. Song Qingyan admired Su Xiaobai more and more. You are such a man. Su Xiaobai said complacently, no need to thank me, dealing with these little hooligans is nothing. Sister, look at how manly Su Xiao is. Song Qingyan said, I think if Chen Fan encountered this situation, he would have been scared to death. Song Qingyan didn't say anything, but in her heart she was comparing Chen Fan and Su Xiaobai. Based on her understanding of Chen Fan would most likely stand idly by. After all, in the 5 years of marriage, Chen Fan had never really protected her. She found that the gap between Chen Fan and Su Xiaobai was too big. Perhaps, Su Xiaobai is the one who is really suitable for her? That bastard who hit me just now, get out here. Just then, Feng Ming came over aggressively. Behind him, there were 5 strong men. When Su Xiaobai saw this scene, his face, which had been smiling brightly, turned pale in an instant. It seems that the other party is not a good person and even called for help. However, Song Qingyan was watching right next to him, so he couldn't retreat and had to go forward with gritted teeth. You bastard, didn't you hit me just now? Try hitting me again if you dare. Feng Ming said sternly, I will let you go out lying down today, and then take these 2 women away. I'm warning you not to mess around. Seeing that the other party had more people and more power, Su Xiaobai brought out his background. I am Su Xiaobai, the son of the Su family, and my father is Su Gaohua. Given his background, few people in Jiangzhou dared to touch him. Oh, who was it I thought? It turns out to be the son of that fat guy Su Gaohua. Feng Mingjie didn't take it seriously at all and said contemptuously, I am the prince of Qingzhou society, and my father is Feng Qinglong. Your dad didn't even dare to fart when he saw my dad. How dare you hit me? Chapter 16 Disgusting. You are the prince of the Qingzhou society, the son of Boss Long. When Su Xiaobai heard Feng Mingjie call out the name, he was completely panicked. The Qingzhou society is a grey organization in Jiangzhou city. Its president is Feng Qinglong. Many wealthy families are very wary of the Qingzhou society. The Su family is a first-rate family in Jiangzhou, but they dare not provoke the Qingzhou society. Because the Qingzhou society is unreasonable, anyone who dares to offend the Qingzhou society will have no good life in Jiangzhou. Now he has offended the prince of Qingzhou society. He has gotten into big trouble this time. Even his father may not be able to protect him. Weren't you very crazy just now? Why are you scared now? Feng Mingjie slapped Su Xiaobai on the face. Fuck you, you still dare to hit me. Hit me again and try it. Brother Jie, it's a misunderstanding, a misunderstanding. Su Xiaobai's face was swollen from the beating, but he could only endure it, nodding and bowing, saying, I didn't know your identity, so I offended you. I'm really sorry. He knew that he was being timid now and must have embarrassed himself in front of Su Qingyan. But he had no choice, he couldn't afford to offend Feng Mingjie. Just say sorry and that's it. Feng Mingjie slapped him again. No one has ever dared to hit me in my life. You are the first one. You are awesome. Brother Jie, I'm sorry, I know I was wrong, and I won't do it again. Su Xiaobai could only bow his head and apologize. My father and Boss Lon have some friendship. Please give the Su family some face. I will come to apologize in person someday. Face? Who do you think your Su family is? Are you worthy of asking me for face? Feng Ming pulled Su Xiaobai's hair and said, You hit me, do you think that's enough just to apologize? Feng Ming almost pulled Su Xiaobai's hair off, but he didn't dare to resist. Stop it, that's enough. Song Qingyan couldn't stand it any longer. Bullying others by taking advantage of your power, what kind of ability is that? Yo, little beauty is going to stand up for him. Feng Mingjie saw Song Qingyan's appearance and revealed a wretched expression. If you want me not to hit him, it's okay. Why don't you come with me? Rogue. Song Qingyan frowned slightly. The crystal building has been contracted by the Longju Chen family. Aren't you afraid of being blamed by the Chen family for going wild here? I really can't afford to offend the Chen family, but a strong dragon cannot suppress a local snake, and I'm here to seek justice for myself, so the Chen family can't control me. Feng Mingjie disagreed. If the Chen family knew that this bastard hit me, maybe the Chen family would still stand on my side. You are shameless. Song Mengxian said angrily, It was you who harassed me first. You said I harassed you, where's the evidence? Feng Mingjie sneered, I saw it all clearly when this kid hit me. Song Mengxian stamped her feet in anger. Do you still have any shame? Of course I want the face. Feng Mingjie licked his lips and said, It's not impossible for the two beauties to save him. You two can come with me. As long as it makes me happy, I will pretend that this incident never happened. You're dreaming. Song Qingyang said with disgust, People like you are really disgusting. You think I'm disgusting, right? Then I'll show you what true disgust is. Feng Mingjie waved his hand, Come, take her away from me. Two strong men came up and grabbed Song Qingyan's arms, one on the left and one on the right. Let me go, don't touch me. Song Qingyan struggled hard, but her strength was nothing compared to the two strong men. Master Su, save my sister, please save my sister. Song Mengxian was frightened and quickly asked Su Xiaobai for help. She could only place her hopes on Su Xiaobai. Brother Jie, please don't embarrass women, okay? For the sake of face, Su Xiaobai could only hold back his fear and beg for mercy. I will compensate you. Just ask for whatever you want. I will agree to it. Fuck you, do I need your compensation? Get out of here, I'm not in the mood to deal with you now. Feng Mingjie cursed, After I have my fun, I will settle the score with you. Brother Jie, give my dad some face. Su Xiaobai smiled apologetically, I'll go back and tell my dad to give some benefits to the Qingzhou society. Get lost, do we still need your Su family to give us benefits? Do you look down on our Qingzhou club? Feng Mingjie kicked Su Xiaobai to the ground and said, If you keep talking nonsense to me, I'll break your legs. Now, Su Xiaobai didn't even dare to fart. He didn't want Song Qingyang to be defiled by Feng Mingjie, but he couldn't afford to offend Feng Mingjie, so he could only watch. I thought you were so tough, but you're just a wimp. Feng Mingjie taunted, You are not worthy of such a beauty. Su Xiaobai didn't dare to say anything, for fear that if he said one more word, Feng Mingjie would really break his legs. Little beauty, see, I am much more capable than this kind of man. Feng Mingjie pinched Song Qingyan's chin and challenged Su Xiaobai, Don't follow him anymore. Follow me. I promise you will have a good life. Song Qingyang had a cold expression on her face and was still struggling. Master Su, save my sister, please save my sister. Song Mengxian held Su Xiaobai's arm with a hint of pleading. Su Xiaobai shrank his head and dared not say a word. There was no way he would fight to the death with Feng Mingjie just for a woman. Little beauty, don't think he can help you. Even if he has 10 courages, he won't dare to mess with me. Feng Mingjie looked at Song Mengxian and said with a smug smile, Why don't you follow me? I haven't enjoyed the company of sisters yet. No. Song Mengxian stepped back tremblingly. Feng Mingjie pointed at Song Mengxian and said, Go, take her away with you. Stop. Just then, an angry shout came from behind. Immediately afterwards, Chen Fan was seen striding over and pushing away the two burly men who were holding Song Qingyang. Fuck, here comes another one who is not afraid of death. Feng Mingjie said contemptuously, Boy, I'm in a bad mood now, don't provoke me, or I will make you die miserably. You have 3 seconds, get out. Chen Fan said coldly, otherwise, you will have to go out lying down. Chapter 17, Lackey. Feng Ming was stunned, thinking he was hallucinating. Who on earth could this little jerk dare to speak such nonsense to him? Song Qingyan, Song Mengxian, and Su Xiaobai looked at Chen Fan in astonishment. They didn't expect that Chen Fan would have the courage to stand up. But they felt that Chen Fan was really overestimating his own abilities, as the other party was the prince of the Qingzhou society. Chen Fan, can you please stop making trouble? Song Mengxian scolded, you are a clown. In her opinion, Chen Fan standing up was no different from seeking death, and was only causing more trouble. Har har har. Feng Ming laughed in anger. First, Su Xiaobai didn't know how to live or die and hit him, and now another ignorant kid stood up and threatened him, which completely infuriated him. Boy, don't you know who I am? Feng Ming's face was grim, do you believe I can kill you? I'll say this one last time, and get out of my sight immediately. Chen Fan said coldly, otherwise you won't even have the chance to regret it. You're looking for death. Feng Ming waved his hand and said, go ahead, kill him. A sturdy man stepped forward and punched Chen Fan in the face. He can easily deal with this kind of jerk with just one punch. However, as soon as he swung his fist, it was caught by Chen Fan. Crack! Before he could react, a sound of bones breaking was heard and his wrist was broken by Chen Fan. Arr! The sturdy man covered his wrist and screamed. In an instant, everyone was shocked. Song Qingyan and the others also found it unbelievable. How come they didn't know that Chen Fan was so powerful? Feng Ming said viciously, boy, you dare to hit my people. Chen Fan said coldly, stop talking nonsense, there are two more, come together. Fuck him, beat him to death, don't show mercy. Feng Ming was furious. The remaining two strong men rushed towards Chen Fan, one on the left and one on the right. Bang! Chen Fan dodged to the side, kicked a strong man away, and knocked over a table. Another strong man took the opportunity to hug Chen Fan. He roared and tried to pick Chen Fan up. But in an instant, he felt himself flying into the air. Chen Fan threw him to the ground with a back throw. In the blink of an eye, the two strong men were dealt with by Chen Fan. Feng Ming was dumbfounded and realized that he seemed to have run into a tough guy. Song Mengxian rubbed her eyes. She thought what she saw was an illusion. Was this still the gigolo Chen Fan? Song Qingyan felt shocked and complicated. She had been married to Chen Fan for 5 years, and she had never seen this side of Chen Fan. Was Chen Fan's previous weakness all pretend? I gave you a chance, but you didn't know how to cherish it. As Chen Fan spoke, he walked towards Feng Ming. If I tell you to lie down and leave, you have to lie down and leave. Stop, don't come over here. Feng Ming picked up a knife and fork from the table and pointed at Chen Fan tremblingly, if you dare to touch me, I will kill you. Whoosh! Chen Fan rushed forward and grabbed Feng Ming's wrist. Crack! The knife and fork fell to the ground, and Feng Ming's wrist was broken. Arr! Feng Ming rolled on the ground in pain, screaming like a pig being slaughtered. You're done. I'm going to kill you. I want you to live a life worse than death. Feng Ming was sweating profusely, and he hated Chen Fan to the extreme, and you all must die. He not only wants to take revenge on Chen Fan, but he will also never let Song Qingyan and the others go, otherwise he will never be able to get rid of the hatred in his heart. You are about to die, yet you still dare to be stubborn. Chen Fan stepped on Feng Ming's knee, preparing to cripple one of Feng Ming's legs. Stop fighting. Song Qingyan suddenly pushed Chen Fan away, he is the prince of Qingzhou society, don't you know? Chen Fan didn't care, so what? Song Qingyan said, you beat him so badly, we all have to suffer with you. Chen Fan showed a hint of displeasure. He saved Song Qingyan, but Song Qingyan was afraid of implicating her. Song Mengxian said, Chen Fan, stop it now, do you want to kill us all? Chen Fan, do you think you are awesome just because you can fight? Can you afford to offend the Qingzhou society? Su Xiaobai ran over and helped Feng Ming up. Brother Jie, this guy is called Chen Fan, he doesn't have any background, you can take revenge on him as you like. He was also worried that Feng Ming would cause trouble for him afterwards. Now that Chen Fan had beaten Feng Ming so badly, he had to use Chen Fan as a shield. In this way, Feng Ming will only take revenge on Chen Fan and will not care about him. Chen Fan's face turned cold. If it weren't for him, Song Qingyan and Song Mengxian would have been taken away by Feng Ming. Anyone can guess what the outcome will be. But now not only do they not know how to be grateful, but they also blame him for being too cruel. You're quite good at fighting, you bastard. Feng Ming stared at Chen Fan fiercely. I don't believe that you alone can fight against the entire Qingzhou club. There are more than 500 people in my Qingzhou club. How many can you beat? When I get back and call for help, I will tear you into pieces. Feng Ming had never suffered such a big loss before, and it was also the first time he was beaten so badly. He couldn't swallow this bitter pill unless he got his face back. Brother Jia, calm down, calm down. Su Xiaobai acted like a lackey. He even dares to hit you, he just doesn't take you seriously. I support you to kill him. Seeing Su Xiaobai's face, Chen Fan really wanted to go up and tear him to pieces. Feng Ming was furious. Boy, if you kneel down and kowtow 3 times now, I might just break one of your hands and spare your life. Otherwise, prepare a coffin for yourself. Su Xiaobai echoed, did you hear that? Come over here and kneel down and kowtow 3 times to Brother Jia, and Brother Jia will spare your life. He couldn't accept the fact that he had just been embarrassed in front of Song Qingyan, while Chen Fan had become the center of attention. Now, as long as Chen Fan kneels down and kowtows, it will be more humiliating than for him, and he will feel balanced. In this way, he can save face in front of Song Qingyan. Chapter 18 Madman. Feng Ming looked at Chen Fan ferociously. He believed that Chen Fan was just a young man who didn't know what kind of existence Qingzhou would be. Now that I know his background, I will be scared to death just like Su Xiaobai. What if I don't kneel? Chen Fan said lightly. Feng Ming was stunned. He didn't expect that Chen Fan would be so arrogant after knowing his background. Not kneeling. Feng Ming said angrily, if you don't kneel, you will be dead on the street tomorrow. Bang! Chen Fan kicked Feng Ming hard in the chest. Feng Ming flew into the air, several meters away, hit the wall, and spat out blood. Chen Fan, you are crazy. Song Qingyan was frightened and screamed. Feng Ming was almost out of breath. He tried hard to get up, but Chen Fan walked up to him and kicked him in the head again. Feng Ming groaned, half of his face was swollen, and he felt dizzy. His head tilted and he fainted. Crazy, really crazy. This time, Feng Ming would never give up until he killed Chen Fan. Chen Fan, you've gotten into big trouble. Song Qingyan said angrily, Qingzhou will never let you go. Just now Feng Ming only wanted to cripple one of Chen Fan's hands, but now he wants Chen Fan's life. Then what? Chen Fan said indifferently, what Qingzhou society? I don't take it seriously. Do you think it's fun to be tough? Song Qingyan said, if you offend the people of Qingzhou society, there will be no good end. You are such a show-off. You don't even take Qingzhou club seriously. Who do you think you are? Su Xiaobai said, you are gigolo, Qingzhou can make you disappear with just one word. He was very angry. Not only did Chen Fan not stop, but he also beat Feng Ming half to death. When Feng Ming wakes up, he will definitely be furious. It would be fine if the Qingzhou society only bothered Chen Fan. But if you really want to trace it back, it was he who first had a conflict with Feng Ming, and the Qingzhou society would not let him go. This time, he was really killed by that bastard Chen Fan. Run away now while the Qingzhou society still doesn't know. Song Qingyan said helplessly, leave Jiangzhou, the farther the better, otherwise if you stay, you will only die. Feng Qinglong is a protective person. If he knew that his son was beaten so badly, Chen Fan would definitely not be able to stay in Jiangzhou. I won't run. Chen Fan said, the Qingzhou society can't do anything to me. Chen Fan, stop pretending. What's wrong with you being able to fight? Can you beat the entire Qingzhou society? Song Qingyan said, if you run now, you still have a chance of survival. Qingyan, we can't let him get away. Su Xiaobai said, if he runs away, Qingzhou will not be able to catch him and will definitely retaliate against us. He is the one who beat people, so we cannot be implicated. Mr. Su is right. Song Mengxian nodded repeatedly, sister, Chen Fan can't run away. If he runs away, we will be in trouble. Song Qingyan's expression was complicated, but Chen Fan is also trying to help us. Who asked him to help? He's just being sentimental. Even if we don't need his help, young Master Su can save us. How can he compete with young Master Su? Song Qingyan rolled her eyes at Chen Fan and said, Chen Fan, I'm warning you, don't even think about running away. If you harm us, I will never let you go even if you run to the ends of the earth. I have an idea. Su Xiaobai said, let's arrest Chen Fan and send him to the Qingzhou Society, so that the Qingzhou Society won't cause us any trouble. Chen Fan, follow me to see Feng Qinglong. As he said that, he reached out and grabbed Chen Fan. Would you like to try touching me? Chen Fan glared at Su Xiaobai with cold eyes. Su Xiaobai was frightened. Under normal circumstances, he would have slapped him. How dare you talk to him like this gigolo? But the skills Chen Fan had just demonstrated made him not have the courage to do so. He knew that he was no match for Chen Fan. Chen Fan, you want to run away by yourself and let us take the responsibility, right? Su Xiaobai said angrily, how can you be so vicious? I was the one who beat him up. This matter has nothing to do with you. Chen Fan ignored him, I will take care of everything by myself. Song Qingyan said unhappily, Chen Fan, now is not the time for you to be willful. This will cost you your life. I said, I will take full responsibility for this matter. Chen Fan was a little impatient, I won't implicate you, isn't that enough? Song Qingyan asked, what do you mean by that? Do you think I'm afraid of being implicated by you? Chen Fan asked back, isn't it? You? Song Qingyan wanted to refute, but didn't know how to say it. Judging from the attitudes of Su Xiaobai and Song Qingyan, they both want to draw a clear line between themselves and Chen Fan. Don't worry about it. Qingzhou will not be able to touch me. Chen Fan turned around and said, also, I beat Feng Ming not for you, and certainly not for you guys. Today is the recruitment ceremony, I just don't want it to be ruined by this kind of scum. He has now drawn a clear line between himself and Song Qingyan. Even if he really wanted to save her, Chen Fan didn't want to get entangled with Song Qingyan anymore. Chapter 19 Chen Fan's Danger. 3 strong men took the unconscious Feng Ming to their hospital. Song Qingyan and the other 2 stood there in a daze, not knowing what to do. Sister, this is a big trouble. Song Qingyan looked terrified. Feng Qinglong is the underground emperor of Jiangzhou city. If you offend Feng Qinglong, you will definitely not have a good ending. What's more, Feng Ming was beaten like this, Feng Qinglong would definitely be furious, and Chen Fan is dead. Mengxian, don't worry. Feng Ming was injured by Chen Fan. It has nothing to do with us. Su Xiaobai said, if Feng Qinglong wants to cause trouble for us, let my dad go and explain to him. Song Mengxian nodded repeatedly, yes, 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 it was Chen Fan who beat him up. It has nothing to do with us. His life or death is none of our business. Song Qingyan's expression was complicated, no matter what, Chen Fan helped us just now, we can't stay out of it. Sister, who asked him to help? It's obviously him who is being self-indulgent and loves to show off. Song Mengxian said unhappily, he was beaten to death by Feng Qinglong, and that was what he deserved. No, I don't want to owe Chen Fan a favor. Song Qingyan looked at Su Xiaobai, Mr. Su, can you help me with this matter? Su Xiaobai was stunned, how can I help? Young Master Su, your Su family is also a first-class family in Jiangzhou, and your father and Feng Qinglong are old acquaintances. Song Qingyan said, can you ask your father to come forward and ask Feng Qinglong for mercy? I owe you a big favor this time. This. Su Xiaobai seemed a little embarrassed. Of course, he wanted Song Qingyan to owe him a favor, so that he would have a chance to get Song Qingyan. But his father and Feng Qinglong were not very close, so the Su family opened some nightclubs and hired people from the Qingzhou club to look after the place. If it is a simple little thing, perhaps there is still room for recovery. But the person who was beaten was Feng Qinglong's son. Feng Qinglong was such a protective person, how could he let it go? If his father were to plead for mercy, the Su family might end up in trouble. I'll tell my dad, but I can't guarantee it will work. Su Xiaobai was unwilling to waste this opportunity to win Song Qingyan's favor, so he could only reluctantly agree, Feng Qinglong only has this one son, don't hold out too much hope. Song Qingyan sighed and said, let's try it first. She also knew how big a disaster she had caused this time. Even if Feng Qinglong didn't kill Chen Fan, he would break Chen Fan's hands and feet. Sister. In a luxurious box, Tang Zimo hurriedly walked in and saw Tang Xinjia, just now downstairs, Chen Fan and the Prince of Qingzhou Club had a conflict. Tang Xinjia's expression changed slightly. What's going on? Tang Zimo told Tang Xinjia what had happened. Tang Xinjia said sourly, Chen Fan is so good to his ex-wife. Sister, Feng Ming was beaten so badly. If Feng Qinglong knew about it, he would definitely not let Chen Fan go. Tang Zimo asked, do you want to help Chen Fan? Need not. Tang Xinjia said, the Qingzhou Club is not good enough in front of Chen Fan. Sister, Chen Fan is good at fighting. Tang Zimo frowned slightly, but no matter how good he is at fighting, he can't possibly defeat the entire Qingzhou society. Don't worry about it. Tang Xinjia said, in short, I believe Chen Fan can solve it alone. I have confidence in Chen Fan. Tang Zimo chuckled, sister, don't blame me for being nosy. I feel like you've become a different person since you met Chen Fan. Could it be that you've fallen in love with him? Tang Xinjia glared at Tang Zimo and said, stop talking. See, I was right. Tang Zimo said meaningfully, sister, don't get too deep. After all, your situation is different. If you really want to be with Chen Fan, the price you have to pay is not small. Hearing this, Tang Xinjia's expression dimmed. Okay, you don't need to remind me, go out, I want to be alone for some quiet time. Tang Zimo stepped out and closed the door. Jiangzhou City Hospital, a VIP ward. Dozens of ferocious-looking men gathered in the corridor outside the ward. Seeing this, others did not dare to approach. Even the doctors passing by were trembling with fear. Feng Ming lay weakly on the hospital bed with gauze wrapped around his head. Beside the bed stood a burly man. His face was gloomy and his eyes seemed to be spewing fire. He is the president of Qingzhou Society, Feng Qinglong. Doctor, how is my son? Feng Qinglong looked at the male doctor next to him with sharp eyes. The male doctor shuddered with fear and said quickly, President Feng, Master Feng has a concussion, but it's nothing serious. He will wake up after a good rest. Feng Qinglong waved his hand and said, that's good. It's none of your business. Get out now. The male doctor felt relieved and left without looking back. Can anyone tell me what's going on? Feng Qinglong growled, which bastard beat my son like this? A burly man with a bruised face and nose walked in and carefully told Feng Qinglong what had happened. Lord Long, that kid is too arrogant. The sturdy man said angrily, Mr. Feng has revealed his identity, but that kid is arrogant. Not only did he beat Mr. Feng, he also said that he doesn't take Qingzhou society seriously. Fuck you, you loser, you still have the nerve to say that. Feng Qinglong slapped the sturdy man on the face and yelled, you can't even handle a little jerk. Why do I spend money to support you? The sturdy man said timidly, Master Long, I'm sorry, it's us who are useless. My Qingzhou association has never been humiliated, and no one has ever dared to touch Feng Qinglong's son. This is not only a provocation to me, Feng Qinglong, but also a challenge to the entire Qingzhou association. Feng Qinglong said coldly, send everyone out immediately and catch the guy who beat my son. I'm going to chop him up and feed him to the dogs. Following his order, all members of the Qingzhou society set out. The goal is to capture Chen Fan. Chapter 20. Bow your head. As the recruitment ceremony came to an end, Butler Nangong announced to all the distinguished guests that the parties that had been granted cooperation with the Chen family were the Tang family and the Song group. There is no suitable candidate for the third spot, and the Chen family will continue to investigate. It was within everyone's expectations that the Tang family could cooperate with the Chen family, but the Song group was unexpected. Many people were dissatisfied with the fact that a second-rate company had no right to cooperate with the Chen family. Yushu nodded slightly. Although there was no expression on his face, his slow movements when packing up revealed some worry. Shutai was so young, how could he have seen so much silver? The Shu family's property, including this house, was probably only worth this much silver. He stared at the silver ingot in the corner. Not only was Shutai new to this amount of money, but he had also never seen such a large silver ingot before. Unification. Li Ju roared and brandished his sword, and was the first to rush to the city wall. Behind him were countless soldiers of Dongzhuo's army carrying ladders and pushing platforms, shouting unification. Unification, and swarming up, pouring towards Dongjun city from all directions. After Yuan Shao destroyed Hanfu and Jizhou, his troops continued to advance southward. Relying on his large number of troops, he annexed the territories of three princes, Che Mao of Dongjun, Zhang Chao of Guanling, and Zhang Yang of Shandong. Yuan Shao, who coveted Qingzhou, turned his attention to the North Sea. Yuan Shao's army crossed the Yellow River and headed towards Jinan, the gateway to Qingzhou. Song Ziwei didn't see what happened later, but he got angry when he saw Yunxi being kicked out. He originally wanted to say that this man looked like he was having a seizure, so he didn't confront him head on, but just wanted to simply tie him up and be done with it, as long as he didn't cause any more trouble or hurt other people. There are several kinds of yogurt in the refrigerator, all prepared for Mu Yuran. Later, Yunxi moved into the Mu family and also liked to drink it, so more yogurt was prepared. Inside the hall, the father and son exchanged glances, and they understood each other's intentions. Prince Xian Junming immediately accepted the order respectfully. If that's not the case, then why didn't he show up last night after the demon escaped? Qin Hao walked out and headed straight for the gate of Prince Rong's mansion. At this moment, he had long forgotten that his sister had been beaten and locked up by the people from Prince Rong's mansion. He was only thinking about how to deal with Rong Lin. Jioshu nodded like a chicken pecking at rice. Xinjia invites me, how dare I refuse? He clasped his fist towards Kang Peng as if nothing had happened. Grand Master, please go to bed early. Shu will take his leave. Then he and Li Ru ran away. How did you unlock it? Wu Yu picked up the padlock and looked at it left and right but couldn't figure it out. Yu Wei could see that the grandmother was very conflicted. She would keep herself clean and tidy, but would also use her own hands to rummage through the dirty garbage. She rarely saw such a conflicted scavenger like this grandmother. Seeing the other party happily stand up and greet Qin Mo, he finally resolved all the doubts in his heart. There is also a large space in the middle that can be used to place stone mills and some wooden barrels. It is clean, tidy and indeed more convenient to use. When the county magistrate saw Liu Shanghu's appearance, he sneered and called his men to drag Liu Shanghu away. Lin Daiyu looked at Lin Feiyu bitterly. Her eyes seemed to be able to speak, making it impossible for Lin Feiyu to say no. Your Highness, this is the best way. I think we can raise the entire island to the ground. The adjutant reminded Chen Mudao. When Lin Feiyu rushed to the Qianqing Palace, Li Dequan was pacing back and forth outside the door of Jietai Hall. When he saw Lin Feiyu, his eyes were as if he was looking at his savior. For a moment, the Empress Dowager pulled Lin Feiyu and Lin Daiyu to her side. Lin Feiyu sat on the left and Lin Daiyu sat on the right. Chapter 21 Danger. Who the hell do you think you are? Do you think you deserve my mercy? Feng Qinglong shouted angrily, you can stand here to see me, I'm giving you face. Song Qingyan didn't dare to move. Her face was covered with red wine, which flowed down her neck into her clothes, but she didn't dare to wipe it off. Lord Long, please give me a. Overall, it is a comedy story, which is quite relaxing to watch. Brothers are welcome to support it. The curse exploded like thunder. Lear stretched out his right hand, grasped the big guy's left hand holding the dagger, pinched his thumb on the big guy's palm, twisted and twisted. The big guy's palm was in great pain, and his 5 fingers loosened involuntarily. Lear wiped his right hand, and the dagger was in his hand. He slashed it diagonally, and blood mist spurted out. Jenny's casual clothes were a statement that no one could talk about work today. Lear didn't want to discuss these things, so he accepted it happily, but Jenny broke her own rules and accidentally revealed something. The so-called accepting bribes and perverting the law refers to the current corruption and bribery. Once such people are found out, they will be executed in the downtown area. Everyone was dumbfounded at the time, but Rong Rong didn't care about other people's eyes at all. After a secret talk with Bei Gongling Yu, she officially settled down in the manor, living in the same room with Cheng Yuro, next to Gong Sun Yu. Seeing their anxious look, Gong Sun Yu went over to chat with them, and then learned that this was a rescue team from Lens, which had just arrived from France today. Well, since the situation is so good, let's just ignore those old men for one night and talk about it tomorrow night. Gong Sun Yu said after a little thought. She glanced at the man she loved most, and beneath his cold expression and eyes, she clearly saw his heartache. The professor took several deep breaths and his expression relaxed a little. He looked at his watch and announced the start of the class. Initially the movements are slow and sluggish, often with pauses and repetitions, but eventually all the secrets are understood and the moves become more and more skillful and smooth, dazzling the eyes. Shenyang always likes their hustle and bustle. After she came in, she sang a number 1 hit single, which immediately made the whole audience excited. Seeing that she didn't seem tired at all, Zhu Wei handed her a bottle of throat-soaking water. Ike lowered his head and thought for a while, then he walked to Mendez's table and boldly sat opposite her. Mendez was stunned, with a Coke straw in her mouth, looking at him in confusion. Oh my god! Who would have thought that Xiongba's three-color finger force was not only extremely sharp, but could also injure people from a distance? In this split second, Duanlang was unable to activate his true energy, so how could he resist Xiongba's fatal blow? At that moment, Qi Hailong was so scared that he almost peed himself, but he had just peed, so there was really nothing to pee. He was just so scared that he pulled out a pool of loose shit. Oh my god! Wasn't Kong Xi left at the foot of the mountain by Bu Jingyun and Qin Shuang? Why did she fall into the hands of Wu Dao Guangtian? When they arrived at Feiyan Temple, the guards had already urgently called the imperial physician from the imperial hospital. The imperial physician was shocked to see that the princess's entire upper body was stained with blood. He hurriedly asked them to send her to the inner chamber for treatment. Because this incident was quite serious, there were dozens of reporters attending the press conference. Before the Golden Globe Awards, Ike finalized several more movies, all of which were well received and popular in 2002. Most of them were ignored, or they just had some ideas but had not been implemented. Ike planned to rob them all to his own company. What? Ichizaki Island was lost too. Ishihara Kanja's face suddenly darkened. He had fought with the Americans in Hawaii before. He knew that an island where a large airport could be built had extremely high strategic value. And this Ichizaki Island was close to Kyushu Island. Chapter 22, 1 versus 100. Lord Long, we all make money by being harmonious. There is no need to fight and kill. Song Qingyan wanted to fight for another chance to negotiate. I really want to compensate Mr. Feng, and I hope Mr. Long can give me a chance. Chance? Feng Qinglong sneered. Because he found that the space of this storage ring was much larger than the first time he saw it. He hadn't noticed it before, and it was only now that there were suddenly hundreds of boxes inside that Chen had discovered this situation. City Lord. Samsara City has been robbed. I wonder if the City Lord will go back to take charge. Bai Yu said slowly to Qin Feng. His purpose was still to let Qin Feng go back, but Qin Feng himself knew that he was not cut out to be an official. It would be a suffering if he went back. There were still a few days left, and his goal was the Shura continent. Instead of chasing after Wang Jia, he took a step casually, but saw a series of afterimages appearing behind him. In the blink of an eye, Wang Shiju appeared in front of Wu Ziqian. Diz smiled at her and made another move. With a few creaking sounds, a slanted stone staircase suddenly appeared in the air on the originally steep cliff. Father is from the Nangong family. Now that the Nangong family is in trouble, father cannot leave the Nangong family. But you are Feng's wives. In name, Liner, Lana, you are Feng's wives. It is natural for you to leave the Nangong family, and the world will not have any objection. Nangong Ren said. The three heroes of the early Han dynasty are definitely the targets that these time travelers want to win over. If they cannot win them over, they will find a way to kill them. Qian Bihei, what's going on? Qinju Huang Shulang and 6 disciples wearing Qinju costumes appeared. Luo Dingfeng, this moment has finally come. After today, my request will be fulfilled. Yu Feng said in a low voice. Moreover, Li Fuya vaguely guessed the plan of Song Yi and his son. First list Xiong Yu's crimes in front of everyone, and then send people to capture him, but of course they would not really capture him. It was so obvious that Chen Yinli wanted to distance herself from Iran, it was so obvious that it made people feel that she did it on purpose. As the team that ranked third in last year's National College Basketball League, it is understandable that Wuyan University of Science and Technology would receive such cheers and shouts. The shortest one. Apart from Li Shisher, who was only 151 centimeters tall, the shortest among them was Geng Haosha. Of course, Yu Manman was referring to Geng Haosha. Therefore, as a professional boxer, Tony was much more surprised than the other spectators. Before escorting the goods, the employer and the escort agency will count the goods together, record them in a book, and then seal the boxes. Having said that, the Silver Moon Demon Saint threw the guide rat in her hand away and left it there. She herself turned into a silver light and entered the crack of nothingness. With the completion of the teleportation array between Yunluo City and the beast tribe Lianming City, several gods including the cat god, rabbit god, and milk god also came to Yunluo City for a visit. After that, several gods settled in Yunluo City permanently. Anyway, the business license has been obtained. The holders are Jubai and Yuan Yu, each holding 50% of the shares. The registered capital just meets the requirements. These were all handled by someone specifically hired. After returning to Eugene Garden, I was in a good mood the whole night because I learned how to drive today. As for domestic awards, Jubai is not to the point of completely looking down on them. Of course he would be happy if he could win an award, but it doesn't matter if he can't. He doesn't act for awards. If someone doesn't like him, the worst that can happen is that they won't play together. Her resistance obviously made him lose his mind. He suddenly picked her up and kicked open the door of the lounge. Chapter 23: A Phone Call. Feng Qingyan had never felt so aggrieved and humiliated. If all the people from Qingzhou Club were present, how could Chen Fan be so arrogant? But it was indeed embarrassing that more than 100 people couldn't subdue Chen Fan. Is this all the Qingzhou society is capable of? Chen Fan said contemptuously, "You still call yourself Jiang. As for why it is not for those below the golden immortal, it is because those below the golden immortal cannot even cut the flesh of the ancestral witch. Unless there are other special methods, it is difficult to kill the ancestral witch." The more this happened, the more the fake Sading wanted to explore. Yi Yaguan saw a burst of energy suddenly shoot out from his body, flying towards the place where Xian Kaiyang was hiding, and accurately piercing the place where Xian Kaiyang was. Xian Kaiyang, like a frightened rabbit, pushed up the wall of the cave and quickly fled. Cici implies that she misses Kuya, and she also hopes that Kuya can feel her longing if her spirit is in heaven. Didn't your master teach you that there is a way to follow the Tao? The long sword shone with a cold light under the sunlight, which was reflected in Yi Yaguan's clear and charming eyes, which was frightening. So the old lady ordered, "From now on, decorate the palace and Xinjia, and welcome the eldest young lady into the house as if she were getting married." Yi Yaguan stayed calm and no longer tried to suppress her emotions. Instead, she truly adjusted her emotions and gave good guidance to the children. He placed his hands on the door, but when he pushed hard, he found that the door seemed to be protected by an invisible force, and he couldn't move it at all. He looked up and saw a talisman paper on the top of the door. Feeling someone approaching, Wen Tingzhan turned around suddenly and met Ji Wuin's cold face. Chu Jian walked up to Master Yu and bowed with bent knees. Master Yu was stunned for a moment, his eyes flashed and he restrained his expression. After giving a few instructions, he let Chu Jian go out. "Arya should have been married a long time ago, it's your fault for not pursuing her then." Shui Xinjia was also very helpless towards this elder brother. "How is my father?" Chu Jian's heart trembled, and he guessed that Yu Yunxing would not agree so easily. "Yes, if you ask." Although he didn't know Jiran, Bai Yi still said it very affirmatively, almost decisively. For many people, meeting someone is a blessing, and being able to walk hand in hand for a lifetime is a blessing earned through several lifetimes. Jiadan's house was large and magnificently decorated, but the few people had no intention of appreciating it and went straight to where his father lived. When they arrived in front of the old man's house, they could smell a strong smell of blood. However, when they smelled the blood, Mu Xing's slightly frowned brows calmed down. Liu Mingxuan's teeth tightened even more, and her lips turned blue-white until she tasted blood in her mouth. To be more precise, the emotions of the northern Song dynasty towards the Liao dynasty and the southern Song dynasty towards the Jin dynasty in history can be best described by the four words, hate and fear. Du Guhong. Du Guhong said very seriously. He didn't expect the other party to tell him his name. However, since the other party chose to ask, he would naturally tell him. Plop. The kidney bean cake in Tang Yun's hand fell heavily back onto the plate. The kidney bean cake was extremely soft to begin with, and it immediately broke apart after falling so hard. The entire plate was filled with broken pieces of cake. The fire burned so badly that everyone had turned into charcoal. Many bodies were even burned together, becoming a black mass that had no practical significance. Just use whatever means you have, I will take over, no more nonsense. Suju smiled faintly, his hands still behind his back, motionless. This mountain stronghold has a huge gate. On the front left of the gate stands a huge skull carved from a huge stone. Inscribed on it are three powerful and bright red characters, Dark Sand. Chapter 24. I can't bear it anymore. Su Xiaobai's shamelessness was completely beyond Chen Fan's imagination. He dares to take all the credit for himself. "Chen Fan, what are you laughing at?" Song Qingyan glared at Chen Fan and said, "Why did my sister go to Feng Ming? It was to help you. If it weren't for Master Su, my sister would have been harmed by you." Dongfeng's heart suddenly tightened when he heard Yuan Bao's voice. He hadn't heard her voice for too long and missed her like crazy. There was a seal on his mouth, so he couldn't speak. He could only listen with his ears tilted. She just called him and then she screamed in pain, followed by a sob. "Yimai? Now that you mention it, I remember that we haven't seen her since the accident," Du Jun said. After hearing this, Xinjia nodded, with a hint of uneasiness in his eyes. When Dongyi stepped into Nanyu's ward, he subconsciously stepped back, thinking that he had walked into the wrong place. Then he thought, why are these two people so familiar? He approached the bed quietly, and couldn't help but sneer in his heart. He finally saw what a real bitch and a dog are. The strong wind is just right. Su Chen put his hand behind Chris' waist without saying a word and picked him up in an instant. The tremendous internal force gathered in the body turned into a surging attack. Yang Fei's body was glowing with bursts of golden light, and the endless night was rendered as bright as day. "Har, these things you brought are really good. Well, I'll take the lead next." Yu Xiao put on the anti-toxic oxygen mask and glanced at Ting Ting through the lenses. "Not only did I feel the air was so sweet, but I also felt how wonderful life was, as if I had become many years younger." Ahem. Yin Zhongjie finally expressed his opinion, saying that he could still tolerate it, but not Lu Xiaoger. He was signaling Yang Liuer to stop while she was ahead. Har har. The Empress Dowager laughed again at Lin Xin's words. There were tears in her eyes, which showed how happy the Empress Dowager was at that moment. Aunt Wang once again took the initiative to speak and shouldn't have, in front of the old lady. Tao Wan's face was obviously angry. Her tolerance for Aunt Wang had reached its limit. But in Jiang Heng's view, people like Jiu Chenyang are cold-blooded animals without emotions and will not be easily moved by anyone. The autumn hunt was supposed to last 3 days, but with the black bear injuring someone and the prince being injured, it was not suitable for recuperation due to the cold and insufficient medicinal materials in the mountains, so after breakfast the next day, everyone set off back to the imperial city. The spirit of the weapon was choked again. It had never seen such a difficult new disciple before. However, after so many years, it finally met someone who was not afraid of the power of the curse. If it didn't seize the opportunity, how many more years would it want to stay in this dark underground? Fortune and wealth are achieved through risk. I have experienced the power of the shroud before. If I can fully control this power, it will be of great benefit to me. That Yinshi was a treasure auction held by another big family, and the 4 big families also received an invitation secretly. However, the 4 big families were people who did business in the open and honest way after all, and it was not easy for them to come forward and deal with these tomb robbing gangs in the dark. No one knew what had irritated the horse, but it suddenly went crazy, jumping up suddenly and swinging its body desperately. Ning Yuan was also constantly up and down on its body, having a very hard time. Chen Jin was busy accompanying Liu Shuai to look at houses, while Tao Wan at home was busy cleaning. In the entire afternoon, she cleaned the bedroom inside and out. It seemed that only by being busy could she stop having random thoughts and complaining. Rui was also frightened. If Emperor Jingyuan had come out to take a look, or called the imperial physician to see her, wouldn't she have been exposed as pretending to faint? Chapter 25 Illegitimate Daughter. Hospital, VIP ward. Feng Ming was lying on a hospital bed. Beside the bed was a fair-skinned woman who was feeding him Chinese medicine. The woman fed Feng Ming medicine 1 spoonful at a time. Her face was very stiff, like a walking corpse. "Mingjie, are you feeling better?" At this time, Feng Qinglong walked in. After bragging to each other for a while, Zui Xinyan announced that the raid was over for today, so the team disbanded and everyone quickly scattered. She was about to return to the city and continue his PvP training journey, but was stopped by the secret message of "Du TM, I laughed." The 5 evil men curled their lips and let out a chilling grin. Their originally ugly faces looked even more terrifying, like a bloodthirsty devil. There is such a thing? Zhang Yi was so envious that he almost drooled. They were all legal advisors, so why didn't he have such a good life? In fact, if Chen Jun didn't like us, we wouldn't be able to get elected at all. Chen Jun's influence on the political situation could be greater than that of the emperor. Therefore, when the carriage of Prince Nanhai's mansion was still far away, people on the street began to prepare to make way. This was a sign of Chen Jun's respect for the people, and their lives were getting better and better. They were grateful from the bottom of their hearts. He couldn't guess what his master was thinking, so the long-time servant agreed and hurried out to pass on the message. Wan Ping opened the box and loaded the gunpowder. Someone had already brought a few sheep and scattered them at the foot of the mountain. Wan Ping took aim, lit the fuse, raised the gun, and fired with a loud bang. 100 steps away, the sheep that were running happily all fell down. This is also what Princess Hong is most afraid of. Although her son is the eldest son, unfortunately his talent is limited and he may not be able to maintain the status quo in the future. Prince Hong has not yet agreed to make his son the crown prince. Princess Hong is very worried about this and has planned this matter many times, but unfortunately it has never succeeded. Otherwise, without these formations and forbidden methods of sealing by powerful masters, it would inevitably turn into ashes like many stars outside the domain and be completely destroyed. All along the way, Song Qingyan was praying for Chen Jun to be defeated. In this way, perhaps before he even reached the capital, the emperor would issue an order to allow him to return to be the marshal again. The source of power fluctuations dissipated, and only 13 figures appeared in the imperial hall, and then stood respectfully on both sides of the person in the front. My magic tools were taken away, and the only things left were the tiger claws and agarwood beads I carried with me. Is it really hit? Chad Taihu still had a serious expression, but there was a hint of stability in his tone. Since he was able to hit the opponent, it would not be too difficult to deal with him. I only gave myself 1 minute to think. After a minute, I decided to take the risk and climb the cliff. I had no other choice. Unlike Han Xie, Song Qingyan did not see any beauty in the sky full of stars. Instead, he felt infinite murderous intent. He shouted loudly and flashed into the Dragon Ball space. In this way, their whole morning passed amid the fat teacher's professional terms and Zhao Ziyue's snoring. Ba Fenghan used his 8 moves to block the attack of the monk Buqi. At this time, the monk Buqi chanted a Buddhist name and said, "You have done too many evil things. It is better to put down your butcher knife, which is the right way." After that, he punched out and hit Ba Fenghan's back. Ku Zhong knocked on the table, snorted coldly, sat down on the stool and moved it slightly, directly blocking Hu Shibai's sight. I recalled the conversation between my master and I at that time. Every sentence and every word was so clear. "Third brother, listening to your conversation with the ghost Rakshasa, it seems that there are more powerful beings in this lake. Do you have any idea?" she asked me. Dongfang Xiuxiu pushed Tang Qi, and the two were finally separated smoothly, otherwise she would really be at a loss. Chapter 26 I Want Your Life. When Chen Fan heard the word illegitimate daughter, his body stiffened. So what? Chen Fan turned his back to Feng Ming so that she could not see his expression at the moment. My mother was originally a girl from an ordinary family. Feng Qinglong was attracted by her beauty and wanted to pursue her, but my mother disagreed. "Why don't you come with me to do foreign trade? I'll introduce you to someone." Manjia's eyes lit up, and she seemed to think this was a good idea. However, Qinglong suddenly discovered that there was a task in the mercenaries' task list that shocked him. "Or maybe you are afraid, you have low self-esteem, you dare not face up to your past, you are afraid to face your past failures." Chen Jiannan ignored Fu Xinyan's suppressed anger and continued to challenge the man's limits. Wu Anfu was drinking with Wang Zhongkuo, pretending to chat, but in his heart he was wondering if Ling Hairan's people were watching the ridiculous things happening in the palace. If they saw it, would they be deceived by this lewd scene? "Did you hear what I just said?" Tang Xiaoxian took a deep breath and continued his confession. "The doctor is stitching up the lady's wound." The midwife thought for a moment and finally said simply. The doctor's firm eyes and quick movements finally made her believe that he was treating the lady, so she didn't want to tell the gentleman the method of treatment. As soon as he stepped into the territory of the Sri Lankan Zerg, Qinglong felt a chill when he saw the densely packed corpses piled up in the distance. This was the food that the Sri Lankan Zerg hunted from the outside world, and they could freely enter and exit the corpse mountain formed by this food and enjoy it to their heart's content. "Forget it, the worst that can happen is that I want to eat it." Shalinger sat down and picked out the vegetables to eat. They had already run out of the gorgeous tent built by the crew. After turning a few streets, they arrived at the pedestrian street designed for ordinary people to relax and have fun. Only when he immersed himself in Buddhism could he temporarily forget the pain of his brothers, confidants, and comrades who died in battle. Tonight's conversation was more of a tit-for-tat than a drink and chat, but no one broke the window paper, and when they parted at the end, they looked like they had enjoyed the conversation very much. The powerful force of dawn completely enveloped the heart of Silver Moon, causing many systems to malfunction. Engineers were leading the kobolds, grey elves, halflings, and goblin technicians to carry out intensive repairs. You are really good at causing trouble. I really don't know whether you found a bodyguard for yourself or a gangster, Chu Qingcheng said with a headache. But Shen Bowling didn't care about those things. All he was thinking about was Ruoer's injuries. Ruoer's body was already weak, and with this incident, it would probably take some time for her to recover. According to their vice president's idea, Mu Qingcheng would definitely offer a lot of benefits, at least more than 100,000, otherwise he would be embarrassed to give it to him. Fuck you. The opponent's fist hit him, and Qin Qianche's baseball bat also hit the opponent's head fiercely. However, Qin Qianche's action was still a few seconds slower than Shimizu Kazuo. In the crisis-ridden mercenary world, Ling Qian can be invincible on the battlefield. In Yunhai City, Ling Qian is still an emperor-like existence. As long as Ling Qian seizes the opportunity and uses some tricks, he can still settle the matter. Unexpectedly, under the stimulation of the equal field system and large farms, ordinary people and wealthy families all showed great enthusiasm for production. Yu Mengxian gazed quietly at the lush and verdant forest of towering ancient trees that blocked out the sun. A thin white mist wandered in the forest, giving the forest a mysterious atmosphere. Then he looked around and found that this was an almost deserted town, and in this town, he could also smell a faint smell of blood. Chapter 27, Eliminating the Roots. Feng Qinglong was lying on the ground with his eyes tightly closed. Blood had already flowed all over the floor and he was lifeless. Until the moment of his death, he could not have imagined that he would die like this. Feng Ainen looked at the lifeless Feng Qinglong, her expression still as cold as ever, but a tear fell from the corner of her eye. I don't know if it's because I killed my father myself, or because I gave my mother. Without hesitation, Yang Mo allowed the endless stream of holy rules to flow in from the anti-god monument. With a thought, he entered the tomb of the supreme god. This hospital is a large comprehensive hospital, and the nurses here are naturally the best. Bai Fan deliberately observed, he was not sure about the technical level of those nurses, but they all looked first class. As soon as the talisman paper touched the coffin lid, it immediately emitted a gentle blue light and began to wear away the cinnabar line on the coffin lid bit by bit. Now he only needs to buy a few seconds. He can even imagine the scene of a powerful crossbow aimed at this mountain swordsman. Ignoring Oliver's smug shouting, Lu Yang reached out and touched the barrier. Sure enough, his fingers were bounced back by a layer of invisible energy, and the force seemed to be decomposed into the light shield. Because it is just a fox. Just an animal. Even if it has changed, it still cannot escape the instinct of living things. Then, the other 5 guys went straight to the last row and started snatching passengers' belongings, with screams of terrible crying being heard from time to time. This is precisely the secret of the aristocratic ruling system of the kingdom of Elant standing firm for 1,000 years. The political nobles of the kingdom have such a saying: the best way to destroy an enemy is not to chop off his head, but to make him become your side or ally. Although Shirokaimaru is his adopted son, he has always treated him as his own grandson and the future heir of the Kitator family of Ice Province. Although he is introverted and doesn't like to talk, he is upright and kind, which is in line with the style of Kitator Province. After Xiefang received the military order from Yang Hao that day, he set up camp not far from Daoshan City and waited for the army. That's a good idea. Professor Zhang was a little embarrassed. The Greengrass family was one of the families he visited. Although Astoria was not at home at that time, she still knew the news. I hurriedly explained, but Ranran believed it, while Shenna looked at me with doubt. Seeing this, I sighed helplessly, thinking that this idea was wrong and there was a big misunderstanding. Xinjia nodded. He had eaten the peaches brought from the journey to the West World, and they were indeed not as good as the peaches rewarded by the Jade Emperor earlier. He guessed that these banquets should also be of inferior quality. These things were all good stuff. Knowing that the monkeys would continue to wreak havoc for a long time, the crowd split up and each collected the untouched nectar. As the filming progressed at the Sony studios, it was already May and they finally began filming at the Natural History Museum in Los Angeles, including scenes of the interior of the protagonist Peter Parker's university laboratory. Sun Yuman suddenly brought up the topic of gift-giving, which made Chiang Kai-shek, Chen Bule and Yujisha look at each other in bewilderment, not knowing what he was up to. They all thought that he had obtained some rare treasure and wanted to give it away. I'm too lazy to dwell on it. It's all good news anyway. If it weren't for his white lie, I wouldn't know where I am now. Chichu smiled and said, if there is, why should I tell you? He was of course teasing Xu Jinyu. No problem. Xiaomao said. This condition was like picking up something for free. Of course he chose to agree. 09 If Qin Yang asked him to drive, he had to drive, because his grandfather told Qin Yang, if he doesn't listen, you can beat him, just don't beat him to death. Chapter 28 Tang Xinjia is poisoned. Half an hour later, Tang Zimo drove to a luxurious villa. Villa Pang is a large courtyard, decorated very luxuriously, with a garden swimming pool at the back. There were dozens of bodyguards patrolling around. Brother Fan, here. Tang Zimo took Chen Fan into a bedroom. There aren't many choices left. The only well-known one that has opened a dojo seems to be left, Chinese Kung Fu. What did you say? I don't know if Zhu Jiayan didn't understand what she heard, or she didn't hear clearly what Zhu Jiaqing said. Han Suo's pale face showed fear. He bowed humbly but his feet did not move at all. Looking at the snacks and candies in Lu Xian's hand, everyone was a little puzzled. They didn't understand why Lu Xian suddenly bought snacks and candies for them. Jiu Mian turned around and saw Li Tingxian and Li Xingzi who were having dinner upstairs, as well as Liu Yinxi's family who had come down from the room at some point. Basic items like academic qualifications are all checked by the Human Resources Department. I am only responsible for reviewing past works. This shield has dual resistance capabilities of physical and energy. It can roughly withstand less than 10 AK-47 bullets, or withstand 2 full-strength energy projection attacks from a level 2 transcendent. The young and inexperienced people who are shouting for war and killing are either rising stars cultivated by big forces. Those who survive will be tempered and become the backbone of the force in the end. Zhu Fang maneuvered the wheelchair to the window, raised his eyes and looked at the dark night outside, his eyes almost blending into the night. By the time the next sacrifice is held, these twisted believers will become a breeding ground for the gods' messengers, just like those corpses full of maggots. Yes, we have to discuss it again tonight. Lu Ling nodded and couldn't help but sigh. A person born with a strange mark. Ruyue's gaze fell on Xiao Yuan's face, more precisely, between her eyebrows, but her long bangs blocked her view. At the same time, after dinner, Liu Xie, who was preparing to rest, found that his achievement points were increasing rapidly. Although it was not a sudden increase, his achievement points had increased by more than 1,000 points since the afternoon. Liu Xie naturally knew what this meant. Maizi finally returned to their village and took his son to eat and drink at the villagers' enthusiastic invitation. He was very busy. Although the price was lower, the daily charge was still as high as 60,000 euros. Ferguson confirmed the price at once and the two sides reached an agreement on cooperation. A trace of unwillingness emerged from the bottom of his heart, tightly wrapping around his heart like a vine, strangling him layer by layer until he could not breathe. Well, after hearing Su Hong's words, Yijin did not express his opinion directly. He seemed a little hesitant and looked at Bai Zihua and the others. He said that as long as he was around, he would never let anyone bully her. She believed him. She couldn't bear to leave him. She really couldn't bear to leave him. She had to find a way to get rid of the love affair. She had to. I won't be angry, no. Although Mo Xian knew that she beat the child, he felt a pang of pain in his heart when he heard it with his own ears. It seemed like he was holding something in his hand. Yes, he was holding Jiamei's hand, and the person who would grow old with him was Jiamei. The white long skirt dragged on the ground, and the long, soft black hair fluttered behind her as the skirt danced. Coupled with her stunningly white and icy skin, Tang Mengyang at that moment was like a holy angel floating into the wedding venue, as eye-catching as she could be. I look forward to this power becoming stronger and stronger, from the feeling of a hand warmer to a heater and finally to a more powerful magnetic field, until I have enough ability to use it correctly. Bai Chiling took a look and scolded in a tender voice. Although she said so, her whole body was lying across the door, as if to say, you dare to come over and try. Chapter 29 Heart of the Ocean. Chen Fan took the gift box and left the Tang family. At this moment, Chen Fan's cell phone suddenly rang. He took it out and looked at it. Chen Fan hesitated, not knowing whether he should answer it. It was a call from Song Qingyang's grandmother. After hesitating for a long time, Chen Fan finally answered the call. A kind voice came from the other end of the phone. Xiao Fan, today is my birthday, when can you come over to accompany grandma? Then he was seen carrying the coffin on his back and walking out of the store. Strangely, the diners around him were not at all surprised by his attire. The thatched hut was covered with dead leaves and dust, and it was obvious that no one had lived in it for a long time. Fang Dongliang couldn't help but feel curious. After looking at it for a while, he walked forward and pushed the door open. However, because she was wearing high heels, her feet were embedded in the flower pots embedded in the ground, and her body leaned forward. Fang Dongliang's face became solemn. If this continued, and the nine-nether demon king escaped again and again, it would be extremely disadvantageous for him. Do you really think you can hide from me what you did after I left? Are you still looking for her whereabouts? He both said unhappily. As everyone was looking forward to it, a figure walked out from inside, and it looked like a fox. Zhu Yuan held the bag and scattered it all their way. After seeing it, he didn't know if the guy would pick it up one by one. Everyone who knew the news about Luo Fengdang naturally knew that the dog-headed man was going to the Worm Valley. Adolf himself did not realize that when it mentioned Minute Mang, sometimes it was calling him by his name and sometimes it was still calling him the owner. The other side might have a powerful person there. George said a little worriedly. Obviously fighting was not his strong point. But now when he saw Xinjia, Liu Heng still felt that bright face made him feel very disgusted. Without saying anything, he pulled in Yulan into the KTV room first. Although she is passionate about acting, it would be life-threatening to continue acting day and night like this. Jianglan only felt that the remaining energy in his body was constantly dissipating, and the blood from the wounds was seeping out again, increasing the speed of his physical strength consumption. Don't show off your military power. Forget it. Mu Qingyu, who had been silent all this time, pursed his red lips and smiled faintly. He patted Yang Nanbei's shoulder with his big hand, his dark eyes flashing with a strange light. Although there was a hint of smile in his words, his handsome face was unusually serious. Qing Hong looked at the man who had just opened his mouth to stop her with pride. When she saw who the man was, a hint of disdain flashed in her beautiful eyes. There was a sudden knock on the door of the presidential suite on the top floor. The bodyguard vigilantly drew the gun from his waist and loaded it. Those people went up first. What should we do? Hu Minye said, pointing at those people going up the mountain. Qing Hong's eyes moved, her icy beautiful eyes stared at Shui Nan's ashen face, her slender jade hands climbed up his body again, and for a while, the sound of cracking was endless. Poor Shui Nan was in excruciating pain but he couldn't faint or shout out. Yang Jiao felt through Yang Jie's hand that Yang Jie was in urgent need of venting. Although Yang Jiao also wanted to, she still had to be reserved. Then let them go. Major Chiao Hui flicked off the ash from his cigarette and squeezed out a meaningless remark, which made the sergeant major open his mouth in surprise. The old cow hugged a few goblins and whimpered softly. The black bear closed their eyes and cried loudly. Amami Makoto looked at her, and they looked at each other. Chin and I didn't say anything and hurried into the bathroom. Brother Feng, it's really not necessary. You said you would give me a salary, so I just want to take the salary. Dartu hurriedly declined. If you do not fully understand the latter sword form, and practice it blindly, you may easily cause chi turbulence in your body if you are not careful, which may cause devastating damage to your body.